Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Books of the Strange, Volume 5. Today, we are going to be talking about or discussing the book, The Satanic Bible. Yay! Everybody pick up a copy so everyone can see. Yes. Pick up a copy. We all have one. By purchasing this book alone, we've supported the Satanic Church.
Do your part.
Church of Satan.
Do they actually get the proceeds from any of that?
Well, yeah, I would imagine so.
Or it goes like the estate of like LaVeyan or something like that.
Wasn't like the Church of Satan like the estate of LaVeyan?
Yeah,
I don't know how that worked out because like his daughter ended up like renouncing like the church at some point when she passed it over to Gilmore.
Right, but does he get it?
I don't know.
Does he still live in the house, or did they tear that down?
I think they got torn down. Yeah,
the black house.
Oh,
yeah. That's
gone.
That's gone. Well, I mean, the copyright is still under the guy that wrote this or whatever, so I can only assume.
He's dead, so.
I'm sorry, not LaVey.
Gilmore?
Yeah, Gilmore.
Word.
So I guess
he's getting
I guess that's. I don't know, actually, because Gilmore was supposedly here the last guy that was the Magus.
He's still the Magus, yeah.
Okay, then it would have to be him.
Okay, because I mean, I know he pretty much runs the website.
Yeah, and I dove in and read some of his like essays and stuff, and some of that shit's kind of scary. Like, I don't know if Anton would have dug or
approved some of his teachings or essays or his
some
thoughts.
of his philosophy or whatever that like underpins the modern Church of Satan, which is not to be confused with the Satanic Temple.
Right. Which we'll go over later at the end of this episode. We'll do like a compare.
And little hint,
contrast.
About $200 is a main key difference. And and also I was reading some of the Satanic Temple statements on the Church of Satan, and as far as membership goes, essentially if you don't kind of, stay in lockstep with Gilmore's ideology, they can kick you the fuck out.
Oh yeah. It's a stricter membership.
Yeah, whereas I think the Satanic Temple is free, but if you want like a union card, it's like $30, something like that. Yeah. Which would be kind of cool to have, just paying for something at the store and then like drop it on the counter.
I'm a union member.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
how did this get out?
Yeah, this is Texas.
Well, I mean, I wish I brought mine with me, but
right.
It's a nice card. I don't want to fuck it up. I keep it out of my wallet because
that shit laminated
and framed.
Well, I mean, it's like a hard, like almost metal kind of card.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, so like the surface kind of like scratches easy.
It's a hologram.
I thought it was like a shitty, like old school, like library card. Like
it's a heavy duty like credit card.
Card.
Hold on, let me give you an example because
he's
card that I have is kind of like the same.
The thickness.
The same thing here.
For scale.
It's like this.
It's like,
ooh. Yeah.
Oh, it's got some heft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me that goddamn thing back.
So you can feel the weight of your purchases.
No. This feels like, yep, that's dead.
No, like I'll be honest with you. I thought it was gonna be like a little paper card that just said my name and like the thing, and then I saw it. I was like, oh, this is nice. It comes like in a little, it almost looks like parchment paper sleeve, like fitted to it, and then of course you get the certificate and everything.
And then a ball gag and a cattle brand.
I wouldn't mind the cattle brand.
Good stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
We should take
it's a microwavable one.
Well, actually, I don't know how much money the organization has made, but we should just get Roland and I memberships as well with that. Flip it.
Why not? Yeah.
Sure.
I'd be down. Because get a cool certificate on the wall and
I would use it to
frame that shit. Exactly. And that actually gives me impetus to frame my diplomas, I guess.
I would probably do the same at least. Until I go to visit family, because then I want to do this exact same thing. Oops, what fell out of my wallet? What's that?
I'm kind of curious as the context of how that would happen. No, not Church of Satan.
The context. I would just be walking and then just fucking fling my arm out. Obviously,
the Satanic Temple or the Church of Satan. Which one would you want?
I don't know. Probably the.
All right, so we're still talking about the difference of $170.
Well, Ray. Seeing as how I'd probably want to spend that $170 on something else.
Then you go Satanic Temple.
Yeah.
more
yeah.
more affordable,
More free spirited.
more free spirited,
less restrictions, less tradition.
not so ritualistic, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Well, they
Not so
I
set in
believe
their
they actually
ways.
kind of abandoned ritual almost outright.
Oh, the Satanic Temple.
Yeah.
Those damn dirty devil
It seems like
whispers.
the more they skew like more humanism, which LaVey rejected outright.
Yeah.
Because that's
As we go through the Satanic Bible, like a lot of it has to do with it's kind of like a selfish kind of
that's exactly
ideology.
No,
libertarian,
it's
really.
Well, it's kind of
I mean, ideology, yeah. But seeing as how we're talking about religion here, I'd say he promoted it more as a virtue.
yeah. Well, we'll get there. We'll get into some of it because it's kind of funny. Like,
It's very funny. This fucking book is full of humor.
Just think of like a lot of those biblical truths or like biblical commandments or the golden rule, as we'll talk about, and just the
it's
opposite
an inversion.
of that. Yeah, it's an inversion of all those things.
Absolute inversion of like the Beatitudes and all
Yeah.
those
It's
things.
like if the guys from Monty Python or whatever decided to make a religion.
No, that would be Discordianism. Because when I read that, I first went, this is like, Idol and the boys decided to found a religion. And if you've not read The Principia Discordia, that's one I want to eventually get to on Books of the Strange, because that shit is just hilarious. And
You talked to me about that one.
would be a continuance of kind of whatever covers we do on magic.
So
yeah, there's another religion. I guess I would like to go over in these episodes is one of them would be the Church of Subgenius,
Yes.
and probably the kind of it's really I mean they're all made up, but this is made up also from a movie which is Dudism.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So we can go over some of those as well.
You're speaking as are you still an ordained Dudas priest, Ray?
Yes, I am.
It hasn't expired yet.
Really, realistically, I want to be a member of all these things, just to have like membership cards or certificates.
You're hedging your bets.
Why not?
In case one of these motherfuckers gets it right.
Well, Dudism is just like pretty much hanging and drinking some fucking White Russians, and
Maybe
do divides, man.
If you want to talk about inversion,
The occasional dirty Caucasian.
Discordianism, like Hail Eris.
So we'll get to all those. Like they'll be fun to go over.
And her little
Yeah,
golden
which
apples.
I guess like Dudism and Pastafarianism and Church of the Subgenius could all probably be like one episode together.
Right.
Like
Yeah, because there's not much depth to any of them. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Discordianism
they're
gets
just fun.
crazy though, and then like Chaos Magicians like
I
really
mean-
dig Discordianism as well, and like that's like nestled into the whole chaos magic regime as
okay.
well. Like it's fucking cool.
Do you think that a lot of these people, and that goes for these guys as well, intentionally oversimplify like their rituals or whatever their ceremonies and stuff, as opposed to Christianity, to
don't know.
show that like it's not. Well, not that it isn't necessary.
Because like if you're gonna like lump in Satanic Bible into that,
Yeah.
No, not at all. Because LaVey is very huge on ritual and dogma being like very important things to
So-
the human psyche itself.
Yes.
And that's why he rejects humanism.
That those things are in here, but like when I sort of look at this and I try to look at Christianity or whatever, this is just like a lot more simplified. Is what I mean. Say it does have its rituals. Its observances. The ablutions that they have to take, their marriage ceremonies, those kinds of things. But it just seems shallower to me. I guess like they don't necessarily put as much.
I
See, that's where I get confused. Like, I do understand that like they have very specific ceremonies, or processions that they go about doing these things, but it still seems like very straightforward. Okay, here's marriage. Here's the one for marriage. Here's the one for your enemies. Here's the one for wealth.
Well, you look at any kind of complementary resources that churches have, like Episcopals,
Isn't it way more
fucking
complicated?
Lutherans.
necessarily?
Not really, because they'll have like a little like book of prayer or like a little book on marriage, and it's all scripted, very much like this.
Yeah. But like, I mean, all of that is like just a few pages here for a lot of the things that they do. That's what I mean. Like, it just seems a lot more simplified to me.
Well, I mean, think about
that,
this. Like
maybe I'm
you're talking
overthinking it.
You're talking centuries of people adding to like like the Bible and stuff like that. This is one dude over like a weekend,
right?
Like writing this shit.
Long
old,
weekend.
this is
Long
like,
weekend.
like a 2-generation-old book or so. Like
Maybe
when was this?
one because it was published in '67, I think it was.
Yeah,
So, like,
it was actually published. He started writing in '67,
So let's
published
say
in '69.
'68. Oh, that's
69.
right. That's
So
right.
2 years.
Because he
took
founded
him-
the church in '66.
Right.
So
yeah,
let's
so
say
it took him
like
a while to like get this.
25 years. So like 2.5 generations or so.
That's
No.
nothing.
Yeah,
No.
less than 40 years.
Yeah. Okay. No, that pretty much answers
If we're
my
talking,
own
if we're
question.
talking like Bible books, we're probably talking like maybe if you're lucky, like the first two Genesis and the Exodus or something
This
like
would
that.
be like on the. This book would fit on like the jacket or whatever of the Bible on the outside.
You also have to remember all those people were like hanging around in the desert, like not exactly pen and paper on hand.
Nah.
This guy was just sitting in his fucking house, just hanging out and.
Going, Nietzsche, Ayn Rand,
Yeah.
John Dee. And these names will come up again.
Yeah, I'm
as we
going to
go
do what
through
I
here,
want with
but
these thoughts and just kind of invert all this stuff, you know.
I mean,
What can I do to piss off the Christian church?
anything. It's simple. That's another thing. Like this whole thing, it just seems like parody to me. It's fucking hilarious.
It honestly kind of does.
A
seem
lot of
that
it
way.
is just like, I mean, I know that they're being super serial or whatever when they are going through.
I mean, you say that, but I mean, this book,
But
as
then
I
also like you could see like, there's
this
a lot of
book, I
sarcasm in
mean,
it.
just the name alone, like gives people a little bit of a. It makes people uneasy. And,
Yeah,
you know,
but
like just
wasn't
and
even-
people even looking at it, like
I mean, just looking at this
yeah.
cover,
Wasn't
looking
that
at the
even-
back
they'll say-
cover.
Yeah, but like wasn't this also intentional? Like the name, the Satanic Bible, wasn't it? They're
Yeah,
trying
it's
to
all-
fuck with people.
Yeah, that's basically what it
Like,
is.
that's the whole point. Like if you don't know, you don't know, and they're fine with that. Like you being ignorant or whatever. But if you do understand, it's like it's really
But
there's really nothing.
it's meant to cause like an uneasy
Yeah.
people, you know? Because
Yeah.
I mean,
So
the word Satan, just the name alone, like brings up all this imagery in people. And I'm pretty sure not too long after this, you had like fucking The Exorcist and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
all those movies about Satan, like Satan's daughter.
This was like-
whatever the fuck, you know.
when was the Satanic Panic? Was it the mid
80s,
80s, yeah.
80s,
Okay. Then,
Rosemary's
this was-
Baby, which apparently LaVey
Yeah.
was in uncredited
Apparently, yeah.
as
Yeah.
the devil, allegedly.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got like a picture of his eyes, like there, and that's when she's like,
Guy's such a
"This isn't a
dork.
dream. This is really happening." This shit.
Just
I don't know how that movie made awards and shit like that. But that one scene has been parodied quite a few times because it's kind of bad.
Yeah, but apparently that was LaVey doing that.
Yeah.
Like, which is hilarious.
I mean, as hilarious as this wonderful selfie he's got on the back of this fucking cover. He looks hungover as fuck.
he
I
probably
mean,
just
I
got done
doubt
with a
it.
sex party, you know, like
Yeah, you know, and I'm excuse me, I meant to say he looks tired. He looks flushed. You know, his cheeks. He's
Because I think he was pretty straight laced. I mean, considering how,
You think so?
yeah, because
Didn't they
wasn't he against like
he was
Big
against
drug.
fun,
Yeah.
basically. Like,
Really?
apart from like dancing and music and stuff. But as far as like drug use and all these things you'd expect that would be,
Yeah.
no, he was very against that stuff. Basically, like, if it's illegal, don't fucking do it. And that's not like what we represent.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
we're law-abiding Satanist citizens,
Right,
here.
exactly. We pay our taxes to the devil
Well, they're not recognized as a religion
and the United States.
right?
Aren't
Yeah,
they?
they are
Yeah, they are,
recognized.
dude.
Are
I
they
thought they
like
were.
tax-free organization?
I
thought
believe
they-
so.
I thought they weren't.
Actually, this
I know they're always fucking with people.
wait, not this one.
Because they're idiots. Not the Church of Satan folks, but everyone.
Oh,
else.
it's not officially recognized.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you, Kids Quick Reference Guide from the Satanic Temple. Very helpful little guide.
But the Church of Satan is.
No, the Church of Satan is not, but the Satanic Temple is.
Oh, what? That doesn't
But
make any sense.
The Satanic Temple does it for a particular reason because
Yeah.
like that's the only way you can get certain religious like
Exemptions
and
and
stuff
stuff,
like that. Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
they're trying to try to put that temple or the statue of Baphomet next to the Ten Commandments in Ohio. Where the fuck was that? It was like back in like 2013.
Yeah,
but,
I remember. It was either Ohio or fucking Portland. I think it was somewhere in Ohio though, because I remember reading about that and being like, why like I remember it being somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, why the fuck is this here? Or why do they even give a shit?
Well, because the whole point, like part of their thing is about like inclusion and so forth. And so it's like if you're not going to allow this recognized religion, then why you're allowing the 10 Commandments up?
Yeah. Right. They were trying to get rid of another religious statue or whatever, some such that.
Well, the thing is, it's if they weren't trying to get rid of it. If I remember the story correctly, I did read a bit about into this when I was looking at the Satanic Temple stance on things. Well, they were trying to get it in to make a point that, you know, it's because there should be a separation of church and state,
right? And
they're huge on that. And so it's like, if you're not going to allow one, why are you allowing the other?
I don't know if that ever happened, and I had thought again that they were doing that as like a reaction to, like, not a provocation necessarily, but some other issue that I think was happening in either that town or that region where they were getting away with making some kind of religious statue or some shit. I don't remember. They're
pretty active. Which is one thing that they also like say how they throw shade at the Church of Satan over that too, because it's not organized per se.
Right. It's basically one guy at this point, kind of like
and I can't remember that guy's name. He writes pretty well.
Satanic Temple?
Yeah.
Lucian Greaves.
Yeah. And he changed his name, though, in like 2 Lucian Greaves. Yeah. And he had some kind of...
I don't know what his real name is, but I mean...
It was totally like a LaVeyan situation where he didn't like his name, I guess, and...
Yeah, I mean, it's a stage name, you know? You gotta make it sound like real cool.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
But I guess we're kind of getting away from the book itself.
Yeah, having
but before we go on, like I'll ask you guys, like, as far as like the Satanic Bible, like, had you ever read it before? Had you heard about it? Did you have any interest in reading it at all?
I have always had an interest in checking this out. I'm trying to remember when I first heard about it. I don't think it was from you. It might have been, but it wasn't. I think it was around the same time. I don't remember if it was you or like David that had talked to me about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, okay, super metal. I like it."
He's like David mentioning the Satanic Bible at.
I'm trying to remember if it was David.
It doesn't seem like that would have.
Because I remember it came from one of like the more like sillier sides of my friend circles or whatever, and I'm looking at that here right here. So that's why I assumed. I was pretty sure. I had heard about it from you. Otherwise, like, I was just farting through the internet, seeing things about it. Over the years, I didn't know it was that easy to fucking like get a copy of it or whatever. I always thought it was.
It's always at your local bookstore.
I always thought it was just more of like a specialty thing that you had to go and.
Now, if you want to get like a trade paperback version, yeah, you probably have to order that. But this thing's fucking like lingering about. Anywhere.
Pretty ubiquitous. Yeah.
You may find like 300 Bibles for every 2, or 1 fucking Satanic Bible lingering about on the opposite end of the bookstore.
Yeah, that sounds about right. No, I'd never read it before. I'd read about it and just over the years have just come across little tidbits on the internet, and I mean at this point after reading it, like it's most of what I read before was seemed pretty self-explanatory. Like
it's not difficult to get through, and like I
didn't really learn anything new about the Satanic organization other than.
Did you think it was going to change your life?
I was hoping. I was looking at this like, oh man, let's see. I'm waiting for my transformation.
You're like, I'm going to convert anytime.
I'm a warlock.
Finally. What's this Enochian key bullshit? God damn it. So, no, like I can't say that I really learned anything from this. It was just like an interesting little instruction manual. It's almost like a pamphlet to me. Like there's just nothing but a lot of sarcasm and like a lot of parody in this. It's and a lot of like obviously it's a fucking Bible, so it's gonna be preachy as fuck, you know, about how we're the good guys, even though we like the devil and he's cool too.
Oh, it's not good or bad though.
Right, exactly. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's not about good or bad. But yeah.
What about you, Daniel?
Read it this year, for the intents purposes of this show, and I'm kind of surprised that I didn't dive into it earlier because maybe it's some ingrained like prejudice from all those years of believing the Bible stuff, and
They brainwashed you.
potentially, but when I started stepping or taking steps away from the faith
And
as
towards
I didn't know,
Satan.
and not towards Satan
Your
at all.
Lord and Savior.
If anything, I'd say Hail Eris, because Discordianism is fucking awesome.
Fucking hell, Jesus.
But
I'd love to my chaos.
I'm really surprised that I didn't check this out when I was reading like a shit ton on like Buddhism, Islam, and other religious belief system, getting into mythology in its own right, from like an academic standpoint and also just a personal curiosity standpoint. And just this never occurred to grab.
I thought there was a lot of interesting, like, I guess, psychological aspects or explanations in this as far as how they rationalize like the things they do and believe in and how they operate, kinds of stuff, as opposed to, well, no, not as opposed to like they will make these jokes or make these observations and then sort of contrast that with whatever Christian equivalent, I guess, of what they're trying to talk about at the time. I don't know. It just seemed kind of nifty, but also I was kind of surprised by that because that sort of reading is I don't really care for it, I guess.
How about you, Brother Ray?
Well, Brother Daniel. Being someone who lingers around the bookstore and usually around any sort of occult writings.
Around the Bibles.
Bibles, yes. Like I used to go to the gallery a lot.
All the spells.
You look at all the occult books. Like,
are they still open?
I don't really fucking
Damn,
know.
I hope so.
But I always seen this in the corner, spined out. Like, oh, interesting. Fun looking.
He's just like
That guy looks like a joy to hang out with.
He's looking at you from around the bookshelf.
Yeah, he's peeking around. That is the guy running the shop too. He's just like,
yeah, it does look
shit. Being from someone of the faith as well, like you hear about these kinds of things and Satanic Panic, all that kind of stuff. Everything is Satan is in everything. You assume this is kind of in that same department,
Like
but
vein, right.
and really finding out that it's not in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
It's almost-
that was the real like revelatory moment for me with this book. Sorry to cut into your origin story for getting into this, but that was a real.
I was a good little Christian boy.
Like a real shock about this text, and the actual stances of like classic Satanism, because you still have tons of fucking academics and other dudes looking at ritual satanic abuse and so forth, and then also getting into crazy David Icke land with these Satanists that are
Like controlling everything,
and like eating children, abusing children to release their energies.
That's how they gotta stay young.
To feed the reptilians.
I thought all you had to do was order those.
Was it Orgon energy?
It's one of those things, man.
It's
Gotta love Ike.
You got to set me up for an order of like a dozen of those goop vagina candles or whatever, so we can.
Well, we'll get some of those too.
So we can get some.
We'll do our. That's what'll be our ritual. Like,
set up.
Like,
Right? Is this what your
really
vag
sure,
smells
I
like?
know.
Oh yeah, I think you've been eating a lot of citrus lately. So I just wanted to finish what I'd been rambling about before. When I was talking about how I thought like the psychological aspects of this were interesting. Is I said like I didn't like reading that kind of stuff, is because what I meant to say as far as that goes is that this sort of reads like a self-help book to me. Like it's got a lot of those like little
actually,
things.
yeah.
I'm gonna say that this book is not. It's in a genre in a certain bookstore. Certain bookstores called self-transformation. So
Christ.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
self-transformation.
That follows.
Yeah, they talk about that.
Yeah,
a
so
lot.
I mean.
Okay, that
Kinda
makes
fits,
sense.
It fits,
So like
that's where you'll find like all the astrology books, all the
Right,
fucking
yeah.
afterlife books, all the
mysticism.
Wiccan books and stuff like that. anything that has to do with some kind of mystical
also to your
way
point,
of thinking.
In a pre-production chat that Ray and I were having,
This is chicken soup for the Satan soul.
I said, really, like, this is like a self-help book before you get to like the Book of Belial, to the ritual stuff. This is like a thing about like self-empowerment and like the loosening oneself from, dogmatic principles
self-empowerment through excess.
It's funny that a lot of
and they still talk about,
the ideas and principles in here seem to be coming about nowadays, but from a different point of view. Like it's almost practically the same, where basically
it's like Jordan Peterson could have written this book.
Jordan Peterson or like David Goggins or some shit like that. We're like, you think some motherfucker's gonna like, you better stay hard. That's this, man.
Yeah. Be as the line on the path.
Yeah. I mean, this book like pretty much keeps talking about like the weak, like don't be weak.
Right.
Don't be a weak person.
Yeah.
Like you gotta fucking like to almost take a stand, and if someone fucks with you, you fuck them
back.
up. Fuck them up. Yeah. If they fuck you, you fuck back.
It's not it's not do unto others, or rather be good unto others. It's
well, what is the I'm gonna paraphrase this, of course, absolutely paraphrase it, but if someone smites you on one cheek,
you smite them back.
Smite them on the other, and then smite their legs, smite their arms,
smite their families,
basically
smite their
destroy
pets.
the motherfucker.
But
there's a section in there that's
there's a part where it kind of reminded me of the skit. For some reason, it goes back to the Chappelle Show. Whenever Rick James goes into Eddie Murphy's house, fucking with his couch, and then Charlie Murphy and like they all fucking kick his ass, and he's like crawling out. He's like, "You broke my legs, Eddie Murphy."
And
then Eddie says, man, like Rick's really bad, man. We should give him some help. And as soon as Charlie says this, I reminded me as soon as I was reading this, where he's like, "Man, we just gave him some help. This is gonna help him later on. Some wisdom. He's gonna get some wisdom from this. Don't fuck with these people because they'll fuck you up." That's where I got from reading this.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
I was like, Charlie Murphy, there it is. That's some Satanism right there.
What's Charlie Murphy?
Here we go, dude.
I don't know.
Hate your
but
enemies.
He was speaking LaVeyan.
Let us know. Like
I found it. It's hate your enemies with a whole heart, and if a man smite you on one cheek, smash him on the other.
Yeah, smash him. Yeah.
Smite him hip and thigh, for self-preservation is the highest law.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, this is really funny.
And the second being lust. Yeah.
But we'll get to all of that. We want to go into a bit of a who is Anton Lavey, part of the episode. So Anton Lavey, born April 11, 1930 in Chicago, Illinois, to a Russian father and Ukrainian mother. He was a musician versed in the ways of the keyboards, such as the pipe organ, Calliope. Yeah, there you go. See another one.
Play the keys.
Looks
The
like
sweet,
a
tender
toy pipe
ivories.
organ on wheels. Yeah, that's like right up
Stop
your
touching
alley.
me.
That's right up your
God damn it.
I'm just
not
like,
a part of your bit.
Smash him on the other.
Yeah.
I'm just like, Roland, like you and LaVeyan could have been friends, bro. Like playing all these organs and shit. Like,
Right, yeah.
you would have come over and been like, can I dabble?
We could have been right.
And come on, you thought about running away to the circus.
maybe I finally get a job.
Well, there you go.
Why don't you laugh at that? Fuck you guys. No.
Smite him.
Maybe get a job in the circus. Fucking crickets.
Because none of that sounded right.
God damn it.
And regarding his keyboard talents, this would be a source of income for him later by playing in bars, lounges, nightclubs on Saturday nights and tent revival Sunday morning. And I can attest to this, that I kind of did the same thing as far as like, not necessarily playing in bars or anything like that, but like partying the night before and then going to play at a praise and worship band or a church.
I did that.
Totally hungover. Yeah.
I play bass. Fuck yeah.
There you go. So there you go. Like, that's how we're relating to Anton Lavey here.
I think I remember when you used to go driving off San Benito on those.
No, it was Westico.
Oh, it's supposed to go.
All of our hanging out nights and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, guys, I gotta go to bed because I gotta be at church in the morning. Going in there with like a fucking headache, completely dry mouth. We gotta learn this new song. Let's praise the Lord.
Go, Jesus, go. Feel the JC spirit.
LaVey was a fan of Pope pulp fiction and other dark literature. Another thing that kind of relate to.
There's a lot of dark humor in this.
Other jobs that he had that aren't necessarily.
None of it's substantiated.
Yes, there you go.
That people can tell. Like people have like dug in and tried to like find out like whether he actually was like a police, a crime scene photographer.
Yeah. And also a psychic investigator
for the police. Yeah,
which is funny.
Oh yeah.
Never a pay stub was found though. No record of him ever working for the San Francisco Police Department. Like
psychic investigator, photographer for the police
Plausible
department.
deniability. Gotta give him care.
Just general photographer, a hypnotist. He also appeared in a children's show that was called Buzz, the Brother Buzz Show. I don't recall exactly his role in it, but I mean, he seems like a child character, you know.
Yeah.
He had a pet lion, a Nubian lion, which is fucking crazy.
Fuck yeah.
Wait, a Nubian? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Pet Nubian lion, yeah. It was it
From Naboo.
Togar? Okay. That all this information is like in the preface of the fucking
I got you though.
the Satanic Bible. So if you want to like basically all the information I'm giving you right now is from the very beginning, giving you a bit of a run through of who Anton Lavey is.
So I thought Gilmore's introduction was abusive until goddamn, what was that one podcast you and I both were talking about where that one guy like did a live reading of the Satanic Bible for like a podcast episode.
Oh, just on YouTube, right?
No, I found it on Spotify.
Right. Shit.
Which I had to turn off after the first like.
It's funny because like I don't remember it because I also turned it off too.
Yeah, because as soon as he started reading the book, he just started just like screaming at certain points, you know, like going through like the 9 satanic statements, and he just put all this like crazy emphasis and energy into. And he was just like, and so I'm just sitting there listening in my car and like, you know, windows are down because I'm kind of cheap and don't like to pay for AC all the time.
You're becoming a method actor all of a sudden.
I have my volume up pretty loud, and then I have to like keep fucking with my volume in the car because he's breaking my eardrums.
Guy didn't compress his audio.
But the preface from the book that he read, I can't remember who composed that, but I think that was a 1974 edition of the Satanic Bible. And that one, repetitive, long-winded, and I wanted to kind of kill myself.
So it's just like the Bible, right?
Now
you're talking like have there been revisions like in this one that we have here?
There's been no edits to LaVey's work or like the core Satanic Bible, but different people have written prefaces for it.
Oh, okay.
And so the preface we got is from the current magus of the Satanic Church.
That's right, because basically if you read this, you can read the same thing on the website as well.
Yes.
Yeah. No, nothing in here. I mean, like if you look at the copyright, it's pretty plain. There's no second editions or anything like that.
Going back to his jobs, he says he has a stint in the circus where he was a cage boy, a musician.
Which I think was just, like picking up like shit.
Probably.
Yeah, in the cages probably.
Yeah.
Just like, good catchy.
Shovel out the shit.
And he also had like an act with cats, which I'm assuming is why he could have like a fucking lion.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Well, this was also the fucking 60s. So there's probably like some weird like loophole that he found in the bylaws for like what it was you could have as a fucking pet. Well,
didn't like Mike Tyson have a fucking like, did he have a lion at some point? Like a real lion? Like not from the fucking movie itself.
No.
I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He's done a lot of weird shit.
But I was could have sworn that he actually had one.
It's like, I don't know if you can like have big cats if you're not a fucking like zoo or nature reserve, like
or the Tiger King
or fucking loaded. Yeah, right, like the Tiger King. Yeah, which goddamn, it was like the third time that I've invoked that fucking stupid bullshit.
Still haven't watched it
last week, and I still haven't seen it.
Nope, never gonna. Fuck that.
That's pretty much most of his jobs. Again, unsubstantiated stuff. We're only getting the word from Anton Lavey and his current Church of Satan head. Again, we said that the Church of Satan was founded in 1966 on the night of May Eve.
Walpurgis night.
A witch's Sabbath, a.k.a. year 1, Anno Satanas, the first year of the age of Satan.
Walpurgis Nacht.
I feel like we should say it with more gusto. You want to give it a try? Anno Satanas? Satanas?
Annos Satanas.
Something like that, yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, we need that guy from the podcast who didn't compress his audio to come and do it. Because I think he would have done real justice to that. God damn that guy.
He made a few albums and single releases according to Spotify. I'm only basing on what I could find on Spotify, which is the Satanic Mass.
Did you listen to any of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I listened to the Satanic Mass. It's basically, I'm actually
kind of fun.
I'll probably like throw in a clip here because it's just him like really reverbing on his his vocals and stuff, reading off something, and it just sounds very ominous. And Satan Takes a Holiday came out in 1995, according to Spotify.
Man, that's some weird music.
Yeah, Chain Dragger and the Musical Mephisto, 2018, and Hymn of the Satanic Empire, which came out in 2009. But that is, again, that's released on Spotify. Those could have been like releases.
These all sound like the names of like
re-releases.
I think the 95 release may have been him proper because he died in 97.
Right.
And I don't know how he
to
died.
get his last musical this guy.
His last musical
died,
hurrah.
Yeah, died October 29, 1997. Of course.
Kind of sucks they didn't, just hang on for 2 more days because that'd have been perfect.
Yeah, right.
Because then you could have shared a death day with, or at least death anniversary with Sean Connery and MF Doom, and
there you go. All the greats. He would have snuck in there.
just.
But how fitting that would have been to die on fucking Halloween, right? In 1980, he said, he was dubbed the Black Pope by the press and his followers.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't seem to really like
give a shit
whether or not he was labeled the Black Pope or not, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he just found it amusing. Regarding that interview that we saw on YouTube, seems like a pretty chill guy.
Yeah, as he gets, he gets constantly ribbed, and he just kind of like smiles, and he even has, some dry humorous remarks, making fun of himself, in certain respects, or in certain regards, and.
When they were asking him about whether he'd been declawed yet, he's like,
"Oh no, they were talking about his lion."
Yeah, they were talking about his lion. And,
but then he
asked,
have you been declawed?
Has the lion been declawed? And he's like, "Have you?" And he's like, "Well, no, not yet," or something like that.
Yeah. In 1980, the FBI interviewed LaVey in connection with an alleged plot to murder Ted Kennedy, which was strange, and to which LaVey told investigators that most of the church's followers were fanatic cultists and weirdos. That's funny.
Fuck yeah.
And that his main interest in the Church of Satan was monetary. He spent most of his time furnishing interviews, writing, and photography. Again, died October 29, 1997.
Well, and he also did a bunch of lectures as well, not just on Satanism, but also on, basically if there's like a fringe weird religion, like he talked about Vodun, he talked about West African traditions, like all sorts of shit. And just like if it was like offbeat, he apparently knew a lot about it and would lecture on it, and that was pretty cool. And he also would basically take kind of like donations or kind of like sliding scale fees for just like kind of like priestly consultations. You go in, talk to your pastor or whatever, but you're not chucking him a few bucks, but you're doing that with LaVey.
I'm pretty sure there was plenty of people who wanted to get his some time with him.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know at some point Marilyn Manson had his little time with Anton Lavey too. I don't recall his thoughts on Marilyn Manson or vice versa, but I should look that up. But I didn't, so. Anything else regarding Anton Lavey that you all want to throw in?
I do, and it's gonna kind of like segue into the text itself, like those like kind of the shit that like philosophically underpinned his stuff. So you got Friedrich Nietzsche with the concept of like the Superman, the Übermensch, where it's all about got to pull it up because I'm going to cheat with my little notes. Here we go. It's all about dudes having like the drive for self-achievement and self-fulfillment, which is kind of cool. Nietzsche's been abused by some very crazy people.
Yep.
I just want to go back to also David Goggins, Jocko Willenick, and Jordan Peterson because that's basically the same thing. But continue.
Yeah. And we also have
Nietzsche was bastardized.
Social Darwinism really was a play, but he took out a lot of the bigoted elements from social Darwinism. But basically, it was just like, hey, there's kind of like there's the weak and there are the strong, and the strong have the right and the ability to enjoy that and keep their boots pressed on the necks of the weaklings because the weak deserve it, essentially.
Right.
But he didn't tie it into this is why like white people have like modern capitalistic and societies and steamboats and shit like early social sciences did, which if you ever want to go into the history of like the social sciences, it gets wild.
Regarding those types of philosophical people, I don't know too much about that, so I was going to let you do your thing with that.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
You cited on your document that Ragnar guy who wrote like basically
the Right is Might. Yeah,
Right is Might, like one of the huge books that I'm not sure when it was written in the scale, but you also have Herbert Spencer, who was a sociologist, I believe, who was also like a social Darwinist. I believe he's the guy who came up with the organic analogy where he talked about how like society is akin to like the parts of the body or whatever, and everything has a function. And but that's a side.
Well, the Right is Might.
So the Victor William Spoils history is written by the.
They were saying like according to the good people and scholars at Wikipedia, that basically LaVey took the Might is Right and kind of just took out all the fucking racism and anti-Semitism and misogyny, and then like this is what you get.
Because basically it was just like a colorless, cultureless, regionless. There's just you have those that can conquer and will conquer and should conquer, and those that can, will, and should be conquered. But he didn't tie it to any, ideology or anything like that. And then you also have Ayn Rand with Objectivism, and I actually have read a couple of her books. It's great when you're kind of lost and you're trying to figure out like what's going on, and like, wait a minute, I could still be a creative person. And
or you just finished a Rush album or something.
Yeah, or you finished Rush album. Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, Rush fucked with Randian concepts, I guess. Fuck, I love Rush.
Rush is great.
But Objectivism, as I stole from the scholars of Wikipedia, because I just was not going to go find another copy of Atlas Shrugged or The Fountainhead and go through those again, because
fuck that.
I pitched those a long time ago. But Objectivism just can be summed up as the concept of a man as a heroic being, with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life, with productive achievement as his noblest activity, and reason as his only absolute. So with that, tying into LaVey, and he said it in interviews, and people, when they talk about him and his development of Satanism, it's Ayn Rand's philosophy punched up with ritual and dogma. Okay. Lastly, I didn't get a chance to really get into the nitty gritty of this because I got lost really quick and would have needed to read other source materials. But to get into John Dee, who was like a court magician, astrologer dude for was it Queen Victoria?
Right. Was it Queen Victoria?
No, Elizabeth I.
Yeah, Elizabeth.
But he was a Hermetic scholar, philosopher dude, and he's the guy who developed the Enochian keys. And then I tried to get into like Hermeticism, and that stuff gets really messy really fucking fast. And even the scholars of Wikipedia could not really help me just wrap my head easily around this. But yeah, did I mention it? No. Did I mention the fact that John Dee was like a magician as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know that much about hearing that guy's name from before, but aside from that, I've never actually tried looking at anything about John Dee. He just sort of strikes me as another Aleister Crowley
He
character.
kind of is. He kind of is.
There's a lot of he's like a stage man or whatever, a showman. Excuse me.
And didn't John Dee get invoked by our good old friend Bill Bradley, or Bramley rather, in Gods of Eden? Because like the succession of magicians and so forth that got into the courts and tried to influence matters or whatever.
Probably,
No,
he probably. I
might
remember
be just conflating him with like the other like Scottish court magicians that popped in throughout history just randomly.
It could be a coincidence, but I do remember him mentioning something about court magicians and stuff. I don't remember if it
Yeah, but I'm
was-
not sure if John Dee came up
He's one of those famous ones though. Like that's not a. I mean, it's a short list or whatever of folks. Like that's why I was asking. Like, okay, is he like another?
But yeah, but
LaVeyan,
I just got
John
I got all
Dee,
fucked up with this, because of course not just reading this, doing the internet dives, but also just listening to podcasts on the subject. And
Yep.
one critique I want to level at most of the podcasts, and this is just because LaVeyan was a fascinating character. But when people want to talk about we're talking about Satanism and like LaVeyan Satanism specifically, they'll spend 45 minutes just talking about fucking LaVeyan himself and really not talk about. They'll maybe list off a few of the the nice satanic statements and shit like that. But beyond that, they don't really address LaVeyan Satanism, and they'll usually jam it in with Satanic Temple stuff and other Aleister Crowley.
Kind of just lumping Satanism as a broad term.
Yeah, and they just go left-hand path stuff.
Yeah, but they're all very different.
Yes.
Yeah. As we'll, again, find out in just a moment. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
And we'll get into this a little later, but just I do find it fascinating that he seems to draw from Aleister Crowley, but he also has some kind of shade to cast at him as well in various respects.
Yeah. I think I marked the pages where he does talk about Anton Lavey. I'm sorry, Aleister Crowley, but it's very brief. Like,
Yeah,
I don't remember that at all. I'd have to look.
yeah,
for that.
because he brings up the OTO. He also brings up,
Yeah.
I believe it's Mathers, the Golden Dawn, and then
that I do
Crowley.
remember.
Crowley's organization, the OTO, which I can never remember the goddamn Latin for it. Ordo Templi
I don't.
bullshit.
Yeah,
Um,
I won't try and touch the pronunciations of those.
Yeah, you don't want to get pulled. You don't want to summon the devil, Ray. It's okay.
Yeah, random mispronunciations can summon the wrong demons.
Ray, we can't allow you to become too powerful.
but yeah, I guess that does kind of cover just some of the very, very lacklusterly kind of touches on some of like the stuff that LaVeyan was drawing from. I really should have taken more time and just relearning some of the stuff on objectivism.
Right. But the one thing we do about Books of the Strange that we are trying to do is take the source directly from the book only. And granted, there are some things that they may mention that might warrant an outside definition or something.
Right.
But in this case, we try to just take all the philosophy from here and just break it down just from our own base knowledge, as if someone who's reading it for the first time and doesn't have too much information on anything else that would allow for some extra depth.
I had so many tabs
Information.
open, even though just trying to keep within the
Right,
realms of this,
yeah.
but I still just got nuts with tabs. Like just
Yeah, I kind of like shrunk them down here on my computer. I had like a shit ton of stuff open too, but then again, I just put links on the documents and just.
How many times have you read this, Ray?
Twice-ish.
Oh yeah. How long have you had a copy of the book? Or did
I've
you
only got a
almost-
copy this time around, man. Like, this is the first time I read it was now.
Yeah.
Whenever I decided to wanted to do this, and again, since I wanted to read this for a long time, I felt this was the reason to do that. And as many times as you see, as I see, certain folks come in asking for this book in my current profession. They seem very excited and like they
They like
they
looking around,
handle
they're
the book
looking-
with such delicacy. Like
They're looking over their shoulders.
if they
and
open it,
stuff.
like the shit, like demons are just gonna fucking fly out of this
right.
book. You know.
Jesus
Also,
is
they're the
gonna
ones who are
appear
drawing
right
the
next to him.
pentagrams, you know, like the white light magicians that LaVeyan makes fun of.
Yeah. I mean, again,
yeah,
you look at this, you automatically think that there's something inside that you shouldn't be reading. But one thing we do with Books of the Strange is to like demystify a lot of this some of this stuff, because a lot of it's just nonsense.
I
Some
was
of
gonna
it's
say
just,
you almost said nonsense.
Like I won't say nonsense. A lot of it is. I would say the
Gobbledygook.
fear that people have is
Gibberish.
nonsense. Like you shouldn't be like, it's just a book, you know. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's
And-
books written by people.
yeah, you just want to like.
These people take shits. There you go.
There's a lot of
Humanized.
superstition that people have, just like even looking at this book, you know.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
When I had mentioned to certain people the book that we were going to talk about, like certain facial expression, just like, oh, like,
When
oh, okay,
when,
like
when Orly and I, my brother and I were kids, he had I don't know if I ever told you, he had a poster of like a Wolverine comic or whatever up
I
on
thought you were
his
gonna say
door.
Anton Lavey. I was like, really? What the fuck?
No, it was a
man?
flag. No, he had like a poster of Wolverine up on his room door. And I just remember one day we came home from school and like it was torn off, and we were like, "What's going on?" And our mom was like, "Oh yeah, I got rid of it. I got rid of that poster." And we're like, "Well, why?" Because he looked like a demon, like it's the guy with a fucking hairy ass, you know, like and a mask. So yeah,
I don't want any freaks on the fucking wall. Like,
yeah, exactly. Not in this house. So I mean, yeah, like people are still. I mean, that was, again, we were children, but all the same, like I still hear that from family or whatever.
it's funny because I
For all kinds of silly shit.
reading
like
this
that.
book, I would tend to leave it around the house, kitchen table, different
You know-
table, and I'm surprised. My mother, like at this
Yeah,
point, she doesn't say
hasn't-
shit about the
hasn't-
shit that I'm reading.
It's-
She'll just be like,
it's a good
"Oh,
point.
okay."
That's a
move-
very
moving
good
along.
point. I always leave this around on my table there, just there, you know, and she'll wander in and like, so we'll see all my books. I do remember, I think last month, Ale came to chill with me. She was doing some work or something and had some free time. And she shows up and she sees the book on the table and she's like, cool. And just starts flipping through it. I'm like, yep,
Oh yeah,
okay.
some people like have a aversion to it. Some people like see it and they're like, "Oh wow, this is
Exactly.
so cool." But
Like,
again,
It was
people
fucking
have never read
hilarious.
the book, you know. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
haven't-
no, absolutely. Most people have not.
And I mean, if you were to start off someone with this book by reading like the magic portions, then they might freak out a little bit. You know?
most people that know a little bit about the Satanic Bible know that it's got nothing to do about.
But most people don't.
yeah. I
That's
don't
the
know.
thing.
I wouldn't say.
Well,
most people-
like I said, anybody that knows anything about it, like even just a little bit, knows that it's not about devil worship or whatever necessarily.
But I mean, but those
But then again, yes, like you said, most people
Pe-
don't know
people-
shit, so.
it's not about devil worship, but people don't understand
It's
why
about
the
devil
word
empowerment.
satanic is in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't realize
mostly
it's
just a big joke.
just to fuck with you. You know, like it's
Yeah.
just a mess.
This
with
is like
the-
a religion about about trolling other religions.
amongst other stuff. But I mean,
In
we'll
a
get to it.
serious adult way, you know, that must be taken seriously.
So we've already spoken a bit about how this is a inversion of a lot of Christian principles and ideology, but it's also an inversion. Like he kind of, you know, he does spend a lot of time attacking Christianity, but he also like goes after like Eastern mysticism
Right,
and
right.
those traditions. You
Even
know,
like
Buddhism
New
and-
Age, like
and
a lot of
New Age stuff,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, I liked what he said about reincarnation. It was kind of
I mean,
funny.
he goes after other people
kinda
that
funny.
are on the left-hand path.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I don't know if you guys remember. He said that the idea, like he took a hack at like the idea of reincarnation itself, which I thought was kind of interesting and funny because I mean, I don't know if he intended it that way, but like it was very sarcastic. The idea is that, you know, someone dies and they're reborn again and they hope to be reborn into a better life, you know, a life of luxury and, you know, all that kind of easy mode shit. They LaVeyan makes the observation that, well, if like your father and your grandfather and your grandfather's grandfather were like reborn into this new life. Why weren't they born into like richness? Or
Yeah,
whatever?
why aren't you living like
why aren't you a
Maharaja?
millionaire now?
Yeah.
Which was
why are you just
a fair
bum?
point.
Yeah, it was, but I was like,
it's at this point,
ooh.
like the generations, like you would expect, like they would have been,
Yeah,
like everyone's life would have been pretty.
We should have all been in space or whatever. Living,
yeah, we should all be like almost
you
like
know,
royalty. If
fucking-
that's the case.
Exactly.
But then he smacks, at white light magicians,
Right.
where they're invoking a demon to help them in their ritual,
Right.
but then they stand in a protective pentagram
Yeah,
to shield
yeah.
themselves from such force,
Right.
and it's kind of stupid. But this one quote he has in there, which because he levels all these critiques against East versus Western, Western versus Eastern religions and some of the offbeat stuff. But I think one thing he wrote about 3/4 way through the main text of before you get to the Oki Keys. I kind of don't really consider the Oki Keys really a part of.
Right. Like,
It really isn't. It's
So really, you're looking at
like
like
a prayer
150 pages of LaVeyan's
also
thoughts.
like a very quick read. I would
Yeah,
recommend
like-
if you want to check it out. Like you can read this in a day. Like no
probably.
problem.
It's
but
not complicated.
he wrote, religionists have kept their followers in line by suppressing their egos. By making their followers feel inferior, the awesomeness of their God is ensured. Which I thought was cool because I was like, oh, cool. So like, he's like bitching here, bitching there. And then he's like, but look, here is the thing that ties all this stuff together.
Right.
Is to make you feel like dirt, and that
Yeah,
God
you-
is amazing
Yeah, you need God in some form or fashion in order for you to like.
because you suck.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Hence, like any of those songs where they talk about like what is that fucking song? The Christian song. I don't even know if it's a Christian song or just a Christmas song. I was blind, now I can see.
Oh, Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace. There you go.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I remember
right?
singing that at
Right,
Christmas.
I don't remember these fucking songs, bro. Like, but again, going back to the organization of the Satanic Bible, again, just to give you an idea, it is a collection of essays, observations, and rituals, kind of broken down in that fashion. And the first thing that comes up is the 9 satanic statements.
Fuck yeah.
And we're going to go over all those in just a minute. And this is kind of equivalent to, let's say, again, in comparison to the Satanic Temple's 7 tenets. But the 9 satanic statements are as follows. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence.
Right.
Right, does anyone know what abstinence is?
No. Never heard of it.
Well, Roland's abstaining from beer right now. Forcibly, but he's abstaining all the same.
I don't know if that's the same thing then. If it's under duress, I don't know.
Well, that's the God in your head, man. And we're just being the God in your real life.
I want the shoulder God sitting here telling me to do all the bad shit. All right, I don't need anything else. So
The next one is Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. And again, a phrase is pipe dreams. Does anyone want to give like what a pipe dream is? Because I know some people won't
like the
necessarily know what
prospects
pipe
of paradise
dream is.
or whatever outside of a life, outside of this existence, that really is unproven. Like, why are you looking forward towards this fucking heaven or whatever when you have your life right here surrounding you and you're not taking advantage of that kind of shit? You're what's it? You're betting on an afterlife or whatever that might not even exist.
Yeah. Basically, you're just kind of expecting something that's like
Right.
almost ridiculous or impossible.
Because
to have.
you're under the impression that there is such a thing as an immortal soul.
Anyone want to take the next satanic statement?
Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit.
Roland.
Which number was that? That was
3.
We're on number 4
All right,
now.
4. Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates.
That seems more Roland speed. I can
it
see Roland
does.
like just saying that.
I like that.
Off the cuff.
Yeah, I would. No, fuck that. Fuck that.
I think this is for you too, Roland. Go ahead.
Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also agree with all of that. I don't see a
I'll
problem.
do the next one. Daniel, you can do the last ones, or not the last one yet. Satan
this-
represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires.
Yeah.
What's the guy from
Oh, Colin Robinson.
Colin Robinson, yeah.
What we do in the shadows.
The energy vampire.
Energy vampire.
Dan, want to go for the
sure.
next one?
Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, who, because of his divine, spiritual, and intellectual development, actually, I'm going to roll it back a little bit because he puts in quotations, so I'm going to be mocking with it.
Well, yeah.
Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, who, because of his divine, spiritual, and intellectual development, has become the most vicious animal of all.
I like that statement. It's pretty fair. Seems pretty.
Okay, I'll go for this next one. Satan represents all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, and emotional gratification.
Yep.
Well, you want to take the last one?
Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he has kept it in business all these years.
Now, what does he mean by that?
Seems pretty self-explanatory, Ray. You know enough about Christian religions to understand that it's always about the great adversary or whatever, the fight between good and evil, that shit that's always going on.
Well, even following LaVeyan himself, like you can't have good without the bad. You can't have, you can't love without hate.
He sort of couches it in terms of like Eastern religions, though. I get that whole yin yang balance and light bullshit from him, as opposed to darkness and light, good and evil bull crap.
Well, yeah. But
to him, it's like,
but you can't love fully unless you can hate a little bit.
They're balancing factors to each other.
I was looking for the quote here from the Bible that says, like, I'm paraphrasing. It says, like, all that is good and bad comes from God. And it's funny. It's funny that's the case because
that's Old Testament and Eastern bullshit, right?
Right, but if Satan is the best friend the church has ever had, they've split the good and the bad.
Because he's allowed them to.
Yeah, because fuck the bad.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Right. Most folks can't reconcile the fact that God is really playing both sides.
No.
He's doing it himself. He allows for your struggles, allows for this, and
right.
He allows for your pain.
So part of his plan.
But they keep running back to him for salvation, thinking that Satan is the one doing all the things on his own.
Got a fun anecdote about this.
Go ahead.
Which I've shared with you guys before, but I think first time on the show. So my mother-in-law, Janelle and I were listening to a podcast talking about Satanism, like on the TV, and we went to the kitchen to fuck with dinner or something like that. And not long after we walk out, and her mom, it changes to something else. And she was like, I just don't want to listen to that. I was like, but I thought you liked angels.
What was it?
What's up?
What was the podcast?
I think it might have been last podcast.
Oh, that's great for them to hear.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Icebreaker.
I tried to get my mother to listen to the Richard Ramirez one, if we all know the story.
Oh, hell yeah.
My mother's passed with that situation. She's gonna listen to it, not because of the subject matter, but because of like Henry's like abrasiveness on the.
Oh, that's hilarious.
On the episode, and especially the way they speak and stuff like that. It was a little too much for her, So I thought that was pretty funny. I think she gave it a good 10, 15 minutes.
But she was probably thinking back to better times, like happier times, when she saw young Richard there.
Looking all spiffy.
Yeah.
Pentagram on the hand. Look at this guy, man.
Dark hair, beady eyes.
Pop collar.
A wry smile.
Right? Halitosis.
Well, that's what the smile was right. I didn't want to give too much of the teeth forward,
Hearing wedding bells. Right?
We also want to talk about who is Satan in the Satanic Bible.
And LaVey spends, I think it would have been cool if he spent more time going into some of these old stories and thoughts on these various manifestations that the devil has taken through time, rather than just giving us, just a laundry list of all the fucking names that he's been known by.
If you go through most of those names, you can type them in Google and then you can see where they fucking come from. But the one thing, this article I found, I forgot it was World History of the Origin of Satan. Basically says that Satan or the devil is one of the best known characters in Western traditions. Again, he's in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I'm not sure his role in Judaism per se. Like, I'm assuming like Book of Job kind of
like
thing, since it's Old Testament.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, doesn't Judaism not promote the idea of there being a hell?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I don't know too much.
I thought they didn't.
Yeah,
But
I just can't
seriously
remember,
thought they didn't, because I've always understood that. As far as I know, that they don't.
I was under the impression Judaism had like the Christian version of like a universalism, like everyone's gonna go to heaven or something.
They do.
Well, no,
I mean,
but just the Jews,
right?
Just the
Exactly.
Jews, yeah.
Like,
but
as far as I understand,
but
Jews don't believe in the concept of hell. So.
Yeah. But is there no hell for followers of
the Gentiles?
Like is there something that happens bad to like any Gentile?
I don't know necessarily what their perspective is on other religions with respect to their own. I mean,
if anyone has any sort of information on that and you're listening, I mean, you can shoot us a line on that.
That's something that I should have looked into the last few weeks.
Yeah, I didn't look into that. I mean, that's not. And I say Islam too. I'm not sure how Satan plays a role in Islam. Again, I'm under the umbrella of Christianity.
In Islam, but shaitan was a term for like devil, and it was also associated with like jinns and other evil spirits. And so, anything that was like metaphysical, that was spooky and negative was like in that category of like shaitan.
It's like some sort of demonic association.
Yeah, but in most of these religions, but it's not. I guess not in the image that we normally would think of now, because they were just thinking of like an adversary, the opposer, like the opposing person.
It's a very Christian.
And a lot of the imagery from Satan is from like literature too.
Like from Greek literature, from Pan.
Yeah, exactly. And, they adapted
Dionysus and all those.
But also like Milton and stuff like that, like the circles of hell and what he looked like in those, or even Dante's Inferno.
So Dante's Inferno, like that is Dante was the first and like most prevalent illustrator, or I guess person to depict hell in that much detail. Before him, there hadn't been anything like that. So,
but I mean, most people like accept that form of what hell looks like now, but not realizing that it's not from the Bible.
It's from
someone else's creation.
From someone else that like really like Dante. He made the Inferno because he was like spurned. I forgot how he was spurned as either a politician or a writer, and like he basically just threw all the people that he hated in there. And like made them suffer. So that's why he made like the ring of treason, the ring of like suicides, because like all the people that fucked with him were like, all right, I'm gonna fucking throw you in. That's what people did. Like that was like the
so basically, I mean, I wasn't too aware of like
they write a shitty story about you or something like a bad.
So basically, everyone's version of hell in their minds, what came from someone kind of
right, exactly.
It was created out of spite. For people,
which goes right in line with like
a pop culture thing,
Satanism, and whom should you go destroy with a destruction ritual?
Right, so basically,
anyone that gets under your skin. I mean, LaVeyan said that outright.
Mind fuck on that one. Right?
Anybody? Like it's very again like straightforward. Like somebody fucks with you, you fuck them back twice as hard.
And LaVeyan does talk about like how like the pig was despised in Egyptian religion and something else that was early on, but then that has repercussion, or that ripples out and hits Judaism, hits Islam, where it's unclean.
You're talking about Legion when he mentions that shit, or
no?
That's what I'm trying to
Legion just gets like possessed.
It was a person that was possessed by a bunch of gods,
pigs,
but then
they went over the cliff and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's. I mean, because that didn't face Christians whatsoever. I mean, everyone's just like chomping on some bacon,
Oh yeah, well.
But then you have a like.
That's because most people are little C Christian.
You have Baal, Beelzebub, like they all have roots in
most people's
other religions. But LaVeyan makes a great point. As soon as like the new like the new hegemony, that's a good word, rolls in with its religion, whatever was the old.
Yeah, it gets incorporated in.
Well, it gets incorporated in, and then
they have like all
demonized,
saints,
for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Like-
because it's a form of control that they use
Yeah.
to bring them over to the true religion, right?
Yeah, I
So-
mean, if you just want a good example of this, just look at any study, like any even rudimentary studies in like colonialism and like how like that played out.
How they
Those
pacified
are the
everybody.
capital C Christians,
Yeah.
as opposed to the lowercase C Christians now.
Yeah, capitalism, capital punishment.
I mean,
those
you
guys
go
were
capital
fucking
C
nuts.
Christians, the Westboro Baptist Church. Little C Christians, like
What-
Catholics.
right, yeah.
Well,
And-
I don't know, man. 'Cause
Well, I mean,
they
most
got a pretty
Catholics-
sullied history.
Where,
No, yes, no, but I mean
yeah,
like
they-
modern day
today-
Catholics,
oh,
like modern day
everybody.
Catholics.
Oh.
Modern day Christians are more lower C Christians,
Yeah.
and if you look at the more extreme people, those are the capital C Christians.
What
But
is-
then-
where
but
are
then
those snake charmers at?
But also,
Come
there's
on.
a lower C Catholic in the term of like being universal. Because I remember like reading like liturgy in Methodism,
Yeah. Mhm.
where they talk about like the Catholic Church, and I always thought that was weird. And then I was like, oh no, it means universal. It's like, well, then what the fuck are we doing here as Protestants? like I know it's not capital C, but why
dumb.
use this word still? Like because there's
Yeah, it's really
because of the
dumb.
implication.
I think my immediate family was like that. And they were little C Catholics because they didn't really give a shit. Oh, cool, it's a church, it's there for God. So you go there and that's it. You're happy, you're good.
It's like I'm a little anarchist. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, right? She want my my rebellious parents or whatever wanted to buck the system by walking into another random ass church and partaking of the Lord's crackers.
I won't take my crackers at this church, but I'll go to
Yeah.
another church.
Hey,
I'll take their crackers.
speaking of those little,
they've got Ritz here.
those little wafers.
Yeah.
Craziest thing I saw at a job
little
site the
wafers.
other day. There are gluten-free communion wafers now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
like I thought that
Wow.
shit was hilarious.
You go, Christ is progressing to involve those
They're
with the celiac disease.
Gluten-free, non-GMO.
Organic fucking
Low
wafers.
sodium. Yeah. fuck
He
that.
goes,
Is this keto too?
they go, these are vegan wafers.
Yeah,
They're
right.
green.
I'm on a keto diet.
This is
Can I get like
100%
just like a
soy.
piece of beef jerky or something? Or
They go, is there any wine/grape juice that's sugar free? Because I can't be drinking this.
Yeah, I'd like
I'm diabetic.
I'd like some grape-free grape juice, please. Thank you.
They go, the blood of Christ is gonna shoot up my insulin.
Right, yeah. I want my glucose to spike, guys. All right.
you guys know those insulin prices? They're crazy. Like,
yeah.
I just can't be injecting for the Lord. You know.
I didn't bring my orange candy wedges or whatever. I don't want to have a diabetic
Can someone bless the wine to make it sugar
attack.
free?
Yeah, right.
I wonder if there's ever a point in time where someone drank the wine and had like had to go to the restroom like immediately after the church. You know?
Or
There's
they-
got to be a certain
oh,
situation.
dude. Okay, so in the
produce.
South, like Pentecostals, they're all fucking like terrible diets and so forth. Like someone goes into like a diabetic shock, like coma or shock
What are they-
from
they-
like communion.
They think it's the Holy
They think
Spirit.
it's the-
Yeah.
they think it's fucking
and then
stigmata
how
or
many people
something.
died?
Yeah.
You know, that's something good to look into. How many people have
Oh,
participated
I'm sure.
in like communion, gone into diabetic shock and
Yeah.
died, but they thought it was,
They had a seizure or something.
but it's just Christ calling them home in a very violent way.
Because they're with God now, and it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
Right, it's
fine.
okay, yeah.
And it was his plan because it was in his house, and it's always his plan.
And
Going back to the Satanic Bible, again, we went through the Satanic statements. One of the reasons LaVeyan did write this book, because he says, for all these centuries of shouting down the devil has received, he has never shouted back at his detractors. And he has remained the gentleman at all times, while those he supports rant and rave.
I always imagine like Satan in a little suit and a little tie and
just
so
like,
forth.
Yeah.
I will
Uh-huh.
not. I will not say
got a
anything.
little wooden
Yes.
cane and fucking.
I'm
top
above
hat.
this.
Rise above this, Lucifer. You can do it.
He's just sitting there like, just rise above.
Rise above. You're better
do
than
this, you
this.
can
You're better
rise.
than this.
You're
Strong
better than
Satan.
this.
Strong
Don't say
Satan.
anything.
Satan.
Every
You can
morning
do
in
this.
front of the mirror, just like you are the Prince of Darkness. You,
By the power of me, I can do this.
Go, keyword, Prince. Show some class. Show some class.
You're fancier than that.
You're the bringer of light, all right? Just,
That's right.
just calm down, all right?
That's right. Everybody wants you. Nobody can be you.
He goes, Satan has a high blood pressure. He has to talk himself down every fucking morning.
Right. It's that fucking glaucoma.
Do we want to go into like some of the books and briefly talk about those? So
Yeah.
it's organized as, the Satanic Statements, the preface, and then we have the Book of Satan. And this one's basically...
oh, shit.
sorry, go ahead.
Before we get into that, we should maybe talk about how fucking LaVeyan Satanists and other Satanists don't fucking actually think Satan exists. Like,
oh, yes. Let's do that.
Like
I'm
like
sorry.
the external manifestation of
Right.
evil does not exist.
And that's one
And
thing.
this is where the self-help comes in.
that's the one thing I think most people forget to realize, that just because it has the word Satan in their title or their organization does not mean that they believe in an actual Satan.
No,
And
like
Satanic Temple, Church of Satan, they do not believe in a literal spiritual being.
You read
that is,
this
the adversary.
and you very much get the sense that like it's written by a bunch of atheists or whatever.
Atheists, satanic atheists.
Even when they're talking about like the rituals and their magic and stuff, I think they refer to as sympathetic magic. That isn't a form of practice that is tied to any specific like religion or form of worship. It's actually sort of pulled away from that, and it's just a way that people can put their energy forth, their intentions forth into some kind of actualization.
Well, because even LaVeyan says, positive thinking or positive action generates positive results,
Right.
and just positive thinking doesn't do shit, and it's part of the whole slant against the idea of praying and hoping that something's going to happen is like actually do something towards that.
Right.
Even if it's in ritual where you're trying to like just manifest in your mind and put that forth put that like that energy out into the world, that vibe out or whatever. It's pretty fucking cool. No,
Yeah,
I
I mean, like again, like they don't make the they do make, I think, the distinction between how they go about using their belief as opposed to like black magic or Vodun or any of that other kind of silly stuff.
So
The pop culture shit.
before we spiral too far out and do little examples from the book or whatever, just gonna pull something from the Church of Satan website itself, where here's a little bit. It's gonna be a little long, but whatever. The Satanist holds that the meaning of God is useful when one holds it to mean the most important person is in an individual's universe and chooses that person to be himself. The Satanist also ascribes magical godlike qualities to himself when indulging in the alternate view of reality enjoyed in ritual. In both instances, Satanism sees the cultural effects of religion and God as an emotional asset to be tapped rather than simply rejected. It's like, I am God, and
Right.
like on the subject of like holidays and so forth, because we'll get there because it comes along in the book in its own little like section. But one of the most important holidays is your own fucking birthday.
Right. Yeah. It's the most
I'll be honest with you, like after reading this, I was just like, man, I need to like really spruce up my birthday, man.
I had the same thought. Like mine's in a few days, and I was like, son of a bitch. Like I'm probably gonna go to work and like not sit around and do what I want to do. Like
I should be taking my day off.
yeah.
And I think the most I've been giving myself is a nice sushi dinner. I was like, I deserve more than this. What the fuck?
I think I got a burger. In my
Yeah, because like as LaVeyan wrote, it was
I ate some bacon on that day.
What better day to celebrate than the day when you were brought into the most awesome of realms or existence?
That's the thing that these
whatever.
guys that they say they love life, they love living or whatever, because
they have a vigor for it.
You have the opportunity for success, or I think they call it strength through joy or whatever, or strength, something like that.
Yeah, and again, like I would feel that most folks would think that the primary reason for this Bible or for Satanism itself is to go around like causing trouble for others and
it's totally
sacrificing
not about that.
babies,
Yeah.
drinking blood, all that
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
It's complete opposite.
When you want to like sell Satanism to somebody to say, you should just tell them.
It's funny.
They go,
because-
you know what Satanism really is about? Celebrating your own birthday and giving yourself like a whole, like really like treating yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Treat yourself every day.
Yeah, treat yourself every day. That is the core of Satanism right there.
What is
I like it.
You want that cake? Fucking eat that cake. Right? It's okay to.
Because guess what? It's okay to indulge.
Yeah, it is okay.
Because it also boils down to indulgence over compulsion.
Right. Yes.
Um,
Compulsion means you have no choice. You're
Right.
forced into it. And indulgence means you're a grown ass fucking person. You make your own goddamn decisions. And if you decide to drink a case of beer,
It's gonna happen later.
Present.
there's nothing wrong with that.
So maybe that's a good way to slide
Mostly.
into the goddamn spacing. The 7 deadly sins and
Yeah,
Satanism. Since we're on the subject of like indulgence and
Again, as we're talking about who Satan is in the Satanic Bible, he gives the names of the 4 crowned princesses of hell. So the first one being Satan, the Hebrew word, meaning adversary, opposite, accuser, lord of fire, the inferno, the south. Roland, you want to go to the next one?
Oh, yeah. That's the next one's Lucifer.
Yep.
Is a Roman origin, the bringer of light, the enlightenment, the air, the morning star, and the prince of the east.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel, go to the next one.
yeah. Belial, also from Hebrew traditions. Without a master, basis of the earth, independence, the north.
And the last one is Leviathan, also Hebrew. The serpent out of the deeps, the sea, the west.
Like that shit's so fucking metal too, man. like the
Leviathan is
Satan and Leviathan.
Genesis, right? Isn't it? Leviathan was the
Fuck if I remember. The last time I cracked open a Bible was to try to fact check what Zechariah Sitchin was writing about.
You know, it's funny that like the name Lucifer is the bringer of light and also the morning star, but all,
Right.
those names are also attributed to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Which can be kind of confusing depending on the context in which you're reading it. And so, I mean, necessarily, those aren't necessarily bad things. I mean, I guess Lucifer is like the name of what they think of in the Bible as the angel, when he was the angel, and then when he fell, he
Yeah.
became
Satan.
the devil. But I mean, those are also versions of the story that you get from probably literature, because I'm not exactly entirely sure that is in the Bible itself. The changing of names. I mean, there's.
I
think
mean,
there's a
depends
some-
on
there's
the
a-
version of the Bible you're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's like assumptions like whenever they quote like the sons of God or like the fallen or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You have to make assumptions on who those beings are.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess
Who the
again,
fallen actually are. Yeah.
and that's where like the context comes from again, but it also depends on who's reading it and who's.
And then you get an ancient aliens from
what
there.
are your
you know?
what are their motivations and agenda whenever they're reading those things?
Who are the Anunnaki?
Yes, and then we get William Bramley and Zachariah Sitchin. So we'll go over just a few of the infernal names.
There's a shitload. They're fun.
There are a
Names.
shitload of them.
There are 2 and 3/4 pages of fucking names.
Yeah.
And there's more later on, I think. As
And again,
well,
all
but-
these names are from different cultures.
Yeah,
and stuff
so
like,
like
that.
they've
So
got like the Celtics, the Egyptians, Hebrew, Greek,
I want.
Mayan.
Let's pick 6 of the
Sumerian.
most metal ones out of here.
Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, taken from symbolism of a scarab. You gotta go with Baphomet.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, Baphomet sounds cool.
Your buddy.
Worshipped by the Templars as symbolic of Satan. Satan.
Right. So the Satanic Bible uses
Now, mind you, like
quite a bit of
some of these are like actual metal band names.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding?
Behemoth
Azazel,
is one.
Astaroth, Asmodeus, Ammon. Let's see. Dagon, wasn't that another one?
Yeah, Dagon's in there. Yeah, I was surprised she didn't jump on that one.
Not yet, but yes, that is the name of my dog. And people ask, where did I get the name from? One from Lovecraft. Two,
Yeah.
Philistine avenging devil of the sea. Right, and he
Ishtar's-
is a pain in the ass. So you can. I already know
yeah.
what Dagon, the type of demon he is.
I mean, again, like Dracula's in here.
Moloch, the
Oh.
Phoenician and Canaanite devil,
Yeah, Diabolus.
who Allen Ginsberg wrote a poem about.
Marduk's in here, which that's interesting.
Yeah,
Allen Ginsberg is fucking of Satan, bro. Like,
Yeah.
he's an evil person.
You take that back.
I don't know how true this one is. They say Midgard is the son of
Yeah,
Loki
I
depicted. So that's the Midgard serpent that they're referring to. That's not an infernal name. I don't even remember if the Midgard serpent had a name. It was like Jormungandr or something like that, the world serpent. Or I may be thinking of a different one.
We also have Ishtar, the Babylonian goddess of fertility,
I was gonna.
which we talked about in.
Yep.
Gods of Eden.
Gods of
and
Eden,
in
yes.
Fucking, and I think in 12 Planet. Yeah, we did.
Pan.
We also have Pan, yes.
Pan is Pan is a boring ass god. The only reason it has or he has any relevance
Because he's like
whatsoever.
half.
Yeah, it's because he's got the goat legs. He's a satyr, and so that depiction was adopted for the modern view of.
One
the
thing
devil.
we will go over
The
at some
horns
point
and the-
for Valley Strange are those old Christian videos where they talk about certain music and like its satanic implications. And one of them actually that I remember specifically was a Paul McCartney album called "The Pipes of Pan."
Fuck yeah.
And he actually has the pan pipes in his hand, and there's this whole fucking thing about how Paul McCartney's of the devil, and he is doing this to like lure children to Satan, and he's holding it
Well,
as
because,
he's like he's doing.
but is that
That's how I'm bringing them to
but do
fucking
they
Satan.
think he's the real Paul McCartney or the
Children.
doppelganger that took over because Paul McCartney actually died?
They think he's the real one,
He's
so
the
they're
devil.
not even like
Right on.
informed
Just-
on the fact that Paul McCartney died.
Yeah. Fucking noobs.
We also have Loki.
Yeah.
Is it the Teutonic devil? If you all are watching Disney Plus,
Nope,
you
I'm burned out on
you
Marvel
fucking
shit.
heathens, man.
So burned out.
So there's Samael.
Yeah, Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
One of the chosen.
You
Shaitan.
see, we shouldn't be reading any of these books or watching any of these shows, guys, because they're all full of Satan
Shiva,
and they're leading you away from Jesus Christ.
Thoth, Typhon.
But Anton says,
That's Scott Lipoka.
but he says I'm God, and that's pretty metal.
Okay, all right, I guess. Let's see. Any more on the next page?
I want to take on like the Aztec god of hell, but I'm not sure how the Nahua works there because usually the TL sound has like a huh sound at the end for the L. But Tezcatlipoca, Aztec god of hell.
Yeah.
And that's got to be like a Mesoamerican fucking metal band. It better be.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it's a South Texan Tejano metal band.
Ray.
You know, I've always thought the accordion has a place in fucking, metal music.
This is why
There are some like that
It
already.
does. There are a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of
I should know.
accordion.
Not just pirate music.
It's like accordion metal.
Also circus metal.
Anton Lavey was in the circus. Holy shit!
Right. there you
It's
go.
all
It's all coming together again.
shit. Forging connections.
All right, let's move on from the names.
Static X had a pretty cool track with a Tejano band. No.
Did he really?
No.
Was he Mexican?
I don't know. Wayne Static? I don't know what his actual last name was.
Statico.
It's Wayne Estatica.
46.
So to quote LaVeyan himself, Satanists are encouraged to indulge in the 7 deadly sins as they need hurt no one.
Right.
They were only invented by the Christian church to ensure guilt on the part of its followers.
Yeah.
The Christian church knows that it is impossible for anyone to avoid committing these sins as they are all things which we, being human, most naturally do. After inevitably committing these sins, financial offerings to the church in order to pay off God are employed as a sop to the parishioner's conscience. And that is I fucking fought with that fucking sentence reading it because it was such a weird just turn of phrase, just like, with these sins, financial offerings are made. And I was like, what the fuck? Are you getting after Wall Street here now? Like,
Well, I mean, if we're gonna talk Wall Street, what's that fucker's name who came out on Wall Street? the movie. Michael Douglas. He says greed is good.
Mm.
Totally Satanist, right? Maybe that movie was meant to lure people to Satanism as well.
Actually, that just goes right back with what LaVeyan was saying, because if money is the root of all evil, then the most of the powerful people in the world must be Satanists. So you have like Wall Street,
Right.
investment bankers, all those assholes.
Congress.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are part of those kooky little like brotherhood, sisterhood, fucking
Looking at you, Pelosi.
cults. Yeah,
Kristen Cinema, you bitch.
crazy hoe.
Again, regarding the 7 deadly sins, we're going to start with the first one, which is greed. And as a Satanist knows, there is nothing wrong with being greedy, as it only means that he wants more than he already has. Doesn't sound too bad.
No, it doesn't.
We also have envy, which means to look with favor upon the possessions of others and to be desirous of obtaining similar things for oneself. And envy and greed are the motivating forces of ambition.
So this is what I was trying to say earlier. Like when they go over these sins, they fold them all into like these sort of positive characteristics. Like you just fucking said it right there. How combining the desire to have other people's shit,
Yeah.
and to live, excessively are
Well, and then also like
our drives.
Talking about
our
like lust,
motivators.
it's like without lust, then how do you propagate the species?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you break lust down to like its basic elements or whatever, all it is it's one animal attracted to another based on certain characteristics.
See,
that
it
they
should have
find.
been one animal attracted to another animal.
And
But just breaking
through
down
that mutual attraction,
But just breaking down the word ambition, like what exactly is ambition for somebody?
is
Roland doesn't know.
No, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't fucking
He may know
at
in
all.
theory.
Not
in practice. In practice, in theory.
This word somewhere.
It's anathema to me.
I don't know where I first heard it. Anyways, so yeah.
Yeah, but
ambition,
I mean, if you are really breaking down the word ambition, everyone believes that ambition is a good thing.
Right, like
it's a drive for someone to do better.
Yeah, but then it rides on the winds of pride and
And envy, yes.
But yeah, like so, like
And
you,
greed.
especially with greed, you want more money,
right.
and there's nothing wrong with wanting
But
money.
I think
I think most people attribute greed to like kind of stepping on other people to get whatever you
Right.
want. But that
But
also,
it's
but
also
then
just-
LaVeyan's like,
Yeah.
fuck them then.
Yeah,
It's like,
I think
yeah,
the
like
difference,
if they couldn't do it themselves,
thanks for your
then
dollar
fuck them.
bills, sucker.
the difference, I think between like the standard views on the sins and what these guys are trying to say is that they have a practical like effect or a practical like motion, as opposed to the standard church stuff where it's like they oversimplify things.
But
Greed is
that-
bad because you want stuff.
Yeah, but that, I
Pride is
mean,
bad
if you
'cause
think
you're full
about
of
it,
your shit,
he also
you know?
says like, I mean, you're not necessarily supposed to like
they
do anything that kind of inflicts like
Right,
pain
exactly.
on anyone else unless they've
No.
done something to you.
like
Yeah.
But how does that resolve in like someone being greedy if they're gonna like topple over people to get the money that it's like say
See,
they want
because
something that they
But I
want.
think it kind of goes back to, or goes forward to, since we haven't really gotten into his ideas on magic yet. But I said, magic is working with the natural order and within
Right.
your skill sets and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
So I still think it's about balance. So, because like too much greed, well, then you've got fucking potentially repercussions from society.
Right. Okay.
Fucking throwing bricks through Starbucks windows and shit like that.
So basically, in all these sins, there has to be a good balance.
right, yeah.
You don't want to
can't-
like
you can't
overstep
do it.
on any of them.
They
yeah, because then you're fucking with people's like
yeah.
livelihoods
Right.
and their.
It's a delicate ecosystem that.
I mean, it goes back to the whole thing. It's
Holds
like
all this
your
shit
rights
together.
end at the beginning of my nose.
right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like N-O nose, but
No, yeah, nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, and LaVeyan Satanism is not about hurting people
right.
unless they have hurt you, and then
Right. So then that's
you go and take your little
about
you and a bunch of
vengeance
your
or
nerd
whatever.
friends
Get
and
your
a naked
revenge.
chick, wave a sword around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Send them to hell with your sex magic.
Danny, do you want to go over like the next sins? Could be like gluttony. I'm going by the book necessarily, but I mean I know you have them different up there. Though.
Word. What's the next one? Because I have a fucking.
We had gluttony.
Yeah, and actually that goes back to the balance too, or like, and LaVeyan talks about like without gluttony, like gluttony is like eating too much or whatever, or consuming too much. But there's a balancing act within these 7 deadly sins because pride takes in.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, eat too much, you get big or whatever, and then pride's what gets you to go on a diet or
Renew
exercise
yourself,
or whatever.
They say here, renew your self-respect.
So
Fat shaming much.
So I think that these takes on the 7 deadly sins are neat in their own right, but seeing the interrelationships with how they also work as balancing factors for each other.
That's because they
with
all
too
have
much
like
pride
sort
in your
of
body, you're not going to enjoy a good hearty meal,
Right.
which is something like he shits on, like Eastern traditions where it's like, oh, we're going with strange diets of like brown rice and tea.
Right.
Whereas the Satanists rather have a hearty meal and
yeah. And then I think he made a joke in there about talking about how they're so devout but still addicted to cigarettes, like the yogis are still smoking and
So basically,
they talk
it's
about the dissolution of self and
characteristic of Satanism is moderation.
right, yeah, a lot of it is, or rather, again, like. It'd be a more, I guess, overarching way to just say balance. Like we've been talking about that before. Like they are.
Right, so I mean,
pretty
anyone
heavy
listening or watching out there, if you're practicing moderation in all the things you consume, or whether it be food, sex,
then you should
drink,
follow Satan.
cigarettes, vice. No, you're following Satanism already.
Congratulations, you've done all the work.
That'll be it for this episode. What's the next? You said gluttony, and we talked about envy already.
sloth,
Anger.
Anger, yeah.
Yep. The strongest instinct in every living thing is self-preservation, which brings us to the last of the sins, anger. Do you want me to just read this clip, or do you got?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, because
Anger is wrath. Just to clarify.
Anger is wrath. Yes. It is not our instinct for self-preservation that is aroused when someone harms us. When we become angry enough to protect ourselves from further attack, Satanists practice the motto, if a man smite thee on one cheek, smash him on the other. Let no wrong go unredressed. Be as a lion in the path, be dangerous even in defeat.
And like this little bit I have on my doc is like, I don't remember why I thought this take was useful, but anger is manifested in the individual who spurns love and opts instead for fury. It is also known as wrath. And I don't remember if I got that from like the Church of Satan website or just because once again, zillions of tabs have been opened in this endeavor. And I didn't necessarily cite everything because I'm kind of like, well, fuck you. It's on the internet. Go find it.
I'm guilty of that as well. So,
I guess we just sort of skipped over it. I'm just going by the order of what I
yeah.
found in the book. But like you, just as a real quick aside, like you'd already mentioned lust and like the basics of that.
Right.
The propagation of humanity, that sort of thing. This is why nature made it the second most powerful instinct. The first being survival. But so.
And just going off the 7 deadly sins, you said you're talking about wrath earlier, and we did mention this. Just quoting it directly from the book right now, regarding kind of like the golden rule inversion.
Oh, yeah.
Satanist practices the motto: if a man smite thee on the cheek, smash him on the other. Let no wrong go unaddressed or unredressed. Be as a lion in the path. Be dangerous even in defeat.
Fuck yeah, I love that line.
Yeah,
and it says, since a man's natural instincts lead him to sin, all men are sinners.
Yeah,
and all sinners go to hell. And if everyone is in hell, then you will meet all your friends there.
Yeah,
yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
And I just want to continue on with that paragraph because I made a little note that I thought was pretty funny. It says, heaven must be populated with some rather strange creatures if they all lived, if all they lived for was to go to a place where you can strum harps for eternity.
Word.
Yeah. And I know he mentions here at some point, and again, you had made a note, Daniel, about the religionists.
Yeah.
They're kind of changing with the times and stuff like that. So they're kind of like ignoring previous
and it's
scripture.
because you go, oh, well, that doesn't really hold anymore. And then
society changes or whatever.
So LaVey actually brings this like, it's a really cool little piece of his discussion. But basically, it's like when we figure something out about magic, or we can explain magic, it becomes science. When certain things no longer have any bearing, we adopt a new term for it. And so he problematizes the term, like particularly Christians, where there's even the idea of like Christian atheists. And
right.
And he's like, if it's not if you're not following these tenets of these religions, then why do you fucking say you adhere to them? Like, why do you even try,
Yeah, I think, people that we've come into contact with or that we've known throughout our lives that are still religious, so to speak, and they don't really do much in it, but they keep calling themselves part of this religion. It's just tradition. A lot of people, like, they hold to those traditions, and it's out of fear too. I mean, to not deny that holds some weight to that. Like they're really afraid, or they think just denying it in any sense could mean that they might go to a hell that they're not even sure really exists.
Well, and there's also, one's family or community that could, have some issue or have issue with you not believing in God.
Right,
I worked with a guy in the Andes who, we were checking out some site, and he was a local there, and he kind of made a mock, sign of the cross over a skull that was popping out of the sand at this one looted area. And I was like, are you a Christian? And he's like, no, but I'm a Catholic when it matters. Like
Yeah.
everyone thinks I'm a Catholic.
Yeah, exactly. Going on in this particular part of the book. Again, we talked about like
the
there's hold on, there's a portion here regarding like the changing of religion and like how they're progressing.
Like the evolution.
It says, is it possible we will soon see topless nuns sensually throwing their bodies about to the was it Solemnus rock? And Satan smiles and says, he would like that fine. Many nuns are very pretty girls with nice legs.
Yeah.
The fuck? And he says, many churches with some of the largest congregations and the most hand-clapping sensual music, also satanically inspired. After all, the devil
has always had the best tunes. Yeah, fuck yeah, I love that.
And it says, church picnics, despite all of Aunt Martha's talk about the Lord's bountiful harvest, are nothing more than a good excuse for Sunday gluttony. And everyone knows that lots more than the Bible reading goes on in the bushes. It says the fundraising adjunct to many church bazaars is commonly known as a carnival, which used to mean celebration of the flesh. And now a carnival is okay because the money goes to the church so that it can preach against temptations of the devil. So, I mean, it's kind of true. I mean, like most, there's a church in San Benito that usually has the bazaar. And I mean, that's all just fun and games. There's haunted houses with like demons running around and shit like that. So that's also kind of confusing to
and there's Catholic church town over from us where we're currently situated. They straight up call it a carnival. Like,
and people don't understand those past version or the past the meanings of these words.
It just gets co-opted and like all of the
absorbed
pagan
into the
traditions
Borg
and so forth. Kind of like why
Christmas tree,
All Hallows Eve, All Saints Eve.
Well, Purgus knocked itself.
Yeah.
It's was it the height of the spring equinox or the end of the spring equinox or whatever the fuck?
I think it was the height of the the spring and the autumn equinox or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's just co-opted, refashioned, and then the old shit's forgotten.
Rebranded.
I mean, and we saw this in other books of the strange where, Bramley, goes through and goes, oh, fucking Diana was Ishtar, and goes and has all these several examples. And then David Icke spends a lot of time talking about that sort of stuff too, where he suggests that the assassination of Princess Diana was using her as a symbol of Ishtar. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Maybe they'll talk about that in the new Diana movie coming out with Kristen Stewart.
Fucking hell.
Oh, they're gonna do one?
It's made, buddy. It's already coming out. November.
Kristen Stewart. Jesus Christ. Well, good for her, I guess.
I hear it's supposed to be really good, but I mean, I'm only going by what the TV tells me.
Yeah. They've lied to us before.
I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say it's probably gonna be pretty fucking boring.
We'll see.
Probably.
I mean, unless the third act is her like driving down, or they're driving down the road and like the crash happens, and they go like all Michael Bay on it, explosions, turning like paparazzi driving around the corner, car chase.
I want to know how shit faced they're gonna make her driver in the movie, like because he was supposed to be hammered when he drove her, and that's why they crashed.
Yeah. Daniel, they purposely killed her.
I know.
Conspiracy.
I know this. I'm just saying the narrative says that he was.
They
drunk.
got him drunk.
The bitch was too close to the
It
truth.
was just easier for him.
Well, no,
They
if
had
they
to
got
take
him
her
drunk,
out.
he wouldn't have known to hit the 13th fucking pillar, which is symbolically important to Satanists.
All right, so Jesus Christ, we don't have to talk about that movie then.
No.
If it has a lot, what if it has a lot of symbolic stuff in the movie? What if it does?
I want to see David Icke review this movie.
Maybe we should
What is
email
this?
David Icke
What is-
to be on CineQuest to talk about this movie.
What is
Yeah,
this
you probably
Da
do.
Vinci Code bullshit you're trying to throw out at me? Is fucking Tom Hanks gonna like direct the sequel or some shit?
No, Tom Hanks is going to play David Icke in the making of The Biggest Secret.
Maybe it'll be better then, because those movies fucking
He did
sucked.
fucking Forrest Gump, so I'm pretty sure he can pull off a few like hand cramps.
Maybe.
Wasn't he like Walt Disney, too? Or whatever?
Fred Rogers.
Oh, it's Fred Rogers.
Yeah.
But what was that movie? The Mr. Banks or whatever?
Oh,
Which I
shit,
think was
I don't
about
know.
Disney
I don't know.
stuff.
No.
I thought he was in that too.
All I know is the guy's an asshole.
Next one, he's gonna play Kermit. What? Tom Hanks?
No.
America's Sweetheart?
Yes, bitch. No, Walt Disney.
Hey, they're gonna unfreeze him soon.
Tom Hanks' kid is a prick. I forgot his
like,
fucking name.
really, they're gonna like unfreeze fucking
Really?
Walt Disney. Yeah.
Is he
It's
really
something
frozen?
Yeah, supposedly. It's money,
He's
baby.
gonna, he's gonna
That's what
come
you
out
can
and
do.
fucking like terrorize everyone.
What have y'all done with my legacy?
He's gonna turn into a kaiju.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking terrorizing Disney World. He's gonna become another attraction.
With the voice of Mickey Mouse.
Well, we're gonna murder you all. Get ready to die. Ha ha ha.
So now we're going to be talking about Satanic Sex. Sex is very important.
For the orgies. Blood sacrifice.
Again, the misconception of Satanism is that they're pretty much having sex. Pretty much any bad version of sex they're having.
Yeah,
rape.
because it goes back to like
Right.
Specifically.
like Aleister Crowley's bullshit, where like, the law is do what thou will,
Oh.
Yeah.
kind of like with
almost
no
like
regard.
Yeah,
There's-
just take
right,
what you
yeah.
want, no matter what.
No, these guys are a little more.
And that gets applied to modern conceptions of Satanism and in regards to sex, and then all of the stuff on like the Satanic Panic of
Oh, right.
banging kids and doing all those awful shit to people.
The debauchery. Yes.
Which is the popular conception of, for fun, it's kind of funny, of of what Satanic Sex is about. But LaVeyan has a very different take on it, and that's one thing, a big takeaway from this book.
And one thing he does say in the beginning of the chapter, basically talking to those who would just look at this as a reason to indulge in their sexual activities. He says, in fact, opportunists who have no deeper interest in Satanism than merely the sexual aspects are emphatically discouraged. So they don't want any part of that or want you to have any part of Satanism if that's all you want.
Yeah, you just want to go for the fucking.
Right.
Yeah. And it says Satanism does advocate for sexual freedom, but only in the true sense of the word. Free love in the satanic concept means exactly that. Freedom to either be faithful to one person or to indulge your sexual desires with as many others as you feel is necessary to satisfy your particular needs, with the fact that they are consensual as well.
Yeah.
And so fucking kids, fucking animals, that doesn't work because they
not
can't
consensual.
consent.
Right.
Right.
One thing he does say here, for example, it is an established fact that the nymphomaniac, every man's dream girl and heroine of all lurid novels, is not sexually free, but in fact is actually frigid and roves from man to man because she is too inhibited to ever find complete sexual release. All right.
Should we talk about some jerking off?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Sexuality in Satanism seems very open as far as like if you're heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual, or even asexual. They're accepting of any kind of person like that if you choose. And Satanism also sanctions any fetish or deviation which will enhance your sex life, so long as it involves no one who does not wish to be involved. Again, consensual adults who consent to the sexual act. And again, this is also kind of a misconstrued notion with people assuming that those who are satanic or Satanism or Satanism promotes like bestiality and pedophilia,
hedonism or whatever X.
Right.
Kind of doesn't.
It's almost like responsible sex, but be it however you want to achieve your gratification. Further here.
Yeah, he's got a fun bit about sadism and masochism, where basically like that's all good, but it's not correct for like a sadist to sadistically deny the masochist their beatdown or whatever.
Right. Again, consensual.
Yeah,
as long as that's
no, but like it's actually wrong for the sadist to withhold.
Right, but I mean,
whereas you would think like the whole thing about being a sadist, you like seeing people suffer, and so you would make a masochist suffer by not giving them the beat down that they want, for their sexual release. That actually betrays, the ideas of, once again, like sexual freedom, which was kind of a fascinating idea.
But I mean, like either one of those folks, for instance, the one taking the beat down, they're consenting to that's like what they want.
Right.
I guess one of the things that seems kind of popular these days is asexuality, which I feel like some folks seem as like a new
only
term.
in the sense that it's just something that's atypical. Or whatever.
Yeah, but are they really, to quote the legions of Reddit and 4chan, are these incels?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's different.
Then they claim that they're asexual because they just can't get laid or whatever.
Yeah, but that's
that's the exact definition of an incel. But I mean, the asexual person is supposed to be someone that is
just not interested in fucking, but they find but they still get the emotional release from other activities, like they lose themselves in their work or a passion project or whatever. So instead of pursuing the delights of the flesh, they just pursue the delights of the flesh.
They find their gratification through other means.
Yeah, but the incels are just people who
they're sad, angry little
can't
shit
get
birds.
laid.
Yeah.
But at the opportunity came along, they jump on it.
Oh yeah, but I just wonder how many folks that claim they're asexual, but
by
they're
definition,
actually...
the opportunity will never come along. For those
but that's what I'm saying is that like
they can't, but it's their own fucking fault.
It's quite different from those who claim to be because they can't, or who claim to be because that's literally their choice.
Right.
To not.
Sure.
Or they can't.
To abstain.
That's what I was trying to get at, but I just wonder like how much, but because you mentioned like, how like asexuality has become kind of a thing.
I'm saying it's not that it's become a thing. It's just like it's a term that's been thrown around a lot more as of late. But again, a lot of it has to do with folks that either truly have no sexual desire, like in the traditional sense, and those the incels who claim that they're asexual by choice. But we all know that if the opportunity came around to fuck, they would totally do it.
Nobody wants to fuck an asshole.
A lot of them feel that they feel entitled.
Dirty.
To have sex,
exactly. You know? Yeah.
But they're asexual though.
Yeah.
As more about satanic sex, that's again directly from the book itself. It says Satanism encourages any form of sexual expression you may desire, so long as it hurts no one else. It goes to very important things to remember here. Mm-hmm. As we did mention before, but I'm just taking directly from the book, so that way anyone who's listening knows this is exactly what they're saying. We're not just kind of reading into something that isn't there. What I said earlier about not advocating for any sort of rape. It says, therefore, Satanism does not advocate rape, child molesting, sexual defilement of animals, the bestiality, or any other form of sexual activity which entails the participation of those who are unwilling or whose innocence or naivete would allow them to be intimidated or misguided into doing something against their wishes.
So right before that section is it just summarized that whole thing. You're encouraged to explore your sexual adventures or whatever, as long as you are not infringing upon others' sexual freedom.
Yes.
Yeah. So put that finger up your butthole. You know,
right.
like
if that's your thing, then do it.
Like maybe use the thumb. It's got a.
If you want to put like an alien dildo up your ass, then fucking do it.
You mean like, is that like a dildo that's like alien in nature, or it has like a gray's face on the tip or whatever?
It could have a gray's face. It could be a green dick. You know, like whatever your thing is. You know.
Just random thought. Anyways.
And regarding sticking something up your butt, we have autoerotic asphyxiation or even autoeroticism.
I like to think of it as the keratin effect.
Yes, that's right.
Masturbation.
The carotene factor.
One thing it says here, or quite a few things. It says, just as no two people are exactly the same in their choice of diet or have the same capacity for consumption of food, sexual tastes and appetites vary from person to person, and no person or society has the right to set limitations on the sexual standards or the frequency of sexual activity of another. Now, they're talking about, like, I guess a couple. It says in the instances when she, I'm assuming because she's usually the one that doesn't want to have sex, according to this. Or that's just an example.
There's a little bit of sexism throughout this book. Just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
It's just how they were raised.
Because, like, what if I want to be the altar? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's happened. It has happened. You know, sometimes you're tired. It's hard to get your wiener hard.
Yep.
When she does not feel great passion, she should either passively or pleasantly accept him sexually, or raise no complaint if he chooses to find his needed release elsewhere, including autoerotic practices. Says the ideal relationship is one in which the people are deeply in love with one another and are sexually compatible. However, perfect relationships are relatively uncommon.
Oh, I heard just Joseph Mormon or Joseph Smith from the grave going, "Fuck yeah."
And as a matter of fact, often one member of the couple will resort to outside sexual activity because he deeply loves his mate and wishes to avoid hurting or imposing upon his loved one.
I was like this is just some, like, just weird ass logic. Like,
he's like, I need sex. You don't want to have sex, so I need to go.
Right, so I'm not going to bother you.
Like, I need to buy a prostitute or someone who has consented to having sex with me, even though I have admitted that I am married, but my wife doesn't want to have sex. So does she need to know about this, or does she? Ideally, she should know that he's going to do this, right?
I mean, ideally,
or vice versa,
or maybe not.
But
maybe it's out of sight, out of mind, kind of.
But I mean, if he deeply loves his mate and wishes to avoid hurting her, ideally, you would do that behind their back without telling them, right?
I'm ideally.
Yeah. Once again, we're just getting into LaVeyan's just like.
Hey man, you're gonna look. if they're gonna know, they might be hurt by that, you know.
Right,
like,
yeah.
So like, you do it behind their back.
Exactly.
No harm, no foul.
Because you care, baby.
I was fucking her, babe, because I didn't want to hurt you.
Exactly. I make love to you.
I fuck her. Now, again, he talks about masturbation. Masturbation, considered a sexual taboo by many people, creates a guilt problem not easily dealt with. Much emphasis must be placed on this subject as it constitutes an extremely important ingredient of many successful magic.
Sounds very Catholic of them. So guilty.
You know, actually, Aleister Crowley was like, he'd jerk off a lot into fucking like, was he doing like chaos magic and shit like that?
Yeah.
It's like busting nuts on like whatever.
You write like a nasty letter to somebody,
Yeah, and then
bust a
you,
nut
like,
on it, and then set it on fire.
And then they would also make like the fucking like the period blood and cum cakes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Forgot about
regarding
that.
the magic, I mean, instead of like sacrificing, we'll talk again.
Yeah.
They resort to like orgasm as a means of sacrifice.
Right. What do they call it?
yeah, but then
Get
what
all
about
the
the
energy
shit
going.
eating?
They call
You
it,
know, like
I think it was called bioelectric energy in here somewhere, where they talk about the power of the jizzening.
And yes, of course, masturbation in the traditional form is referenced in the Bible in the story of the.
It's a very healthy,
Onan?
wholesome
Is it-
thing, kids.
Is it Onan or Onan?
Onan, yeah.
Genesis 38, 7 through 10, where he busts a nut and pretty much spills it on the floor, and he did bad. So.
Oh, I love this. Even though modern sexologists have explained the sin of Oman as simply coitus interruptus, the damage has been done through centuries of
Coitus.
theological misinterpretation.
Yeah, and of course, past thoughts on masturbation meant that like you would go crazy.
It is better for the seed of a man to fall into the loins of a prostitute than to splash onto the barren earth.
Did you see? You should be reading this whole thing. Like, yeah, because it said like you pretty much have like a.
I'm just trying to start a children farm, okay? Like,
It says
I need
here,
to
like,
save my children.
past thoughts on masturbation said if you like, I guess depending on like you had a certain amount of times to be able to do it before you actually went crazy.
Yeah, well, it's because they by abstaining from masturbation is how they control you.
Yeah.
Again, it's all the fucking mind fuck, church.
And
You can control me.
This one. This part
Nobody
kinda,
tells me what to do.
This part made me a little uncomfortable. It said masturbation is regarded as evil because it produces pleasure derived from intentionally fondling the forbidden area of the bodies by one's own hand. Just I feel like he made it sound dirty.
Yeah.
It's too dirty for me. I don't know. I don't like that.
well, I'm erect.
Put it away, Daniel.
You can't tell me what to do. This is how I express my sexual freedom by hitting an erection in front of you guys.
You're impinging upon
How dare
me.
you?
On my freedoms.
A pox on you.
I thought this was America.
I go back on you, Daniel.
Shit, I'll come back.
Just a bunch of fucking Satanists arguing. They're just fucking going up to each other. Who's gonna like fucking break first?
Yeah. I need to help the ritual.
I got one on my butt too. I will be more powerful.
Uh-huh. So the power...
Sometimes these satanic games just go too far, you know?
Okay. Do you think that's how like the professors and shit and all the like the whatever dickheads from the Harry Potter, like all the adults, that's how they actually have like, their wizard battles?
One of them sticking the wand up their ass.
Jerking off?
We're making this movie.
I'm pretty sure it's been made already.
Fuck you,
so-
parody porn.
Yeah, right.
Stepping on our territory.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, in the satanic sex practices. You need consenting adults. Don't hurt anyone else.
Don't they sort of talk about?
I'm kind of curious as to like how if like someone does them wrong sexually, what is the repercussions on that?
Broke dick syndrome.
Well, no, that's accidental. I mean,
got,
so I mean, like if someone like really,
wrath, vengeance.
But how would that?
Once
like,
again, the 7 deadly sins. No. You get the wrath and vengeance of the
gave
fucking
me the
partner.
clap. Time for revenge. Right. You gave my sister. My mom didn't deserve to get herpes.
But yeah. So anything else you want to add? I mean, like I said.
So I just wanted to comment to the, like talking about like the ideas that they have on masturbation and like self autoerotic practices, is that they seem to have like a sort of forward-thinking, I guess, approach to it. I don't know if you talked about this here before, but like they talk about how the thought was that if somebody what did they say? Preposterous myth grew from reports of widespread masturbation by the inmates of mental institutions. It was assumed that since almost all incurably insane people masturbated, it was their masturbation that had driven them mad.
He spoke to that, but not directly
not in the
quoting.
specific. Okay, yeah, that's why I wanted to mention.
Maybe it drove them mad that they weren't masturbating, so they had to catch up.
Exactly, they don't have that release.
I'm trying to get sane.
No one ever stopped to consider.
I'm thinking about my mental health. God damn it.
The lack of sexual partners of the opposite sex and the freedom from inhibition, which is a characteristic of extreme insanity.
God damn it.
So yeah, like these guys not getting laid or whatever is supposedly the real problem, not the fact that like
Healthy body, healthy mind.
that they were jerking off like crazy. Yeah, no, you did. I remember now. Right after this, you went into talking about how like mates in couples or whatever seek to avoid guilt, feelings of guilt, that sort of thing that are associated with issues in monogamy or issues in sexual paradise or whatever.
Right.
Anyways, so no, that was pretty much all I wanted to. The only reason I wanted to mention that is because I just thought it was an interesting section about how, like, going into this and talking about the initial beliefs that these people had, that these people had about like the ideas of sin or whatever, what represents what is morally acceptable in the bedroom or whatever, and this was a cool little like. I guess evolution that affected like actual people's livelihoods or whatever, because these motherfuckers were instituted, probably more than likely against their will, because somebody either reported them or like they had like a mental breakdown of some sort and had like just a like an altercation or whatever, and like it fucked them over. So now those ideas have changed or whatever, and how they're talking about how like, okay, maybe it was this other problem that was the exact opposite of the approach that they initially took. So anyways, yeah, but that was what I thought was interesting about it. Just that like they've learned new things or whatever about the practice of masturbation, and now like, hey, cool, you're not crazy, I guess.
This affected you personally, didn't it?
I'm not crazy, and I do masturbate.
You go, I'm not crazy because I masturbate.
Exactly. This is what, and here's the proof.
They go, I can think rationally.
This is the proof.
Like I can articulate my thoughts well.
I'm gonna tear this page
There's
out
there's
for
no
later.
there's no jizz cloud in my head.
The proof is in the coming.
The wise Laszlo, what's the fucking last name? Fuck. Cunningsworth or some shit from.
You mean Jackie Daytona?
Yeah, Jackie Daytona. As the wise Laszlo Cravensworth once said,
yes.
What did he tell him? He's like, you wank off your way and I'll wank off mine.
Or Doug Stanhope saying that you treat it like the medical condition it is and you drain the cyst.
Yeah.
So like we can
bleed
move
out
on.
that poison.
Yeah, we got to move on to
magic.
To magic.
Ritual. Yeah.
Also very fun version or portion of the Satanic Bible or Satanism in general. Daniel, you want to lead us into the magic portion of this?
Yeah. Starting off right at the top in the book, directly quoting LaVeyan, he defines magic as the change in situations or events in accordance with one's will, which would, using normally accepted methods, be unchangeable. And he breaks down magic into two forms: ritual and non-ritual, or in a ceremony context or in a manipulative context. Once again, going more into LaVeyan, ritual magic is purely emotional, where any intellectual activity takes place before the ceremony. It's also referred to as greater magic. So I guess the whole thing is about just channeling emotional energy to help the ritual along, but you need like powerful emotions. So here he talks about like using death in ritual, like sacrifice, and on the subject of like human sacrifice, which Satanists are not for human sacrifice.
Right.
LaVeyan even, cast shade at the supposed white light magicians who will, sacrifice a chicken or some bird or something, some small animal to release their, like death energy to power the ritual and make sure that the working happens. And LaVeyan's like, why don't you fucking jerk off?
Right.
Like,
the same
Again,
kind of.
you're not insane because
It's the same kind of energy.
It's called preventative care.
It's all about that concentration.
And so then getting into non-ritual magic, he says it involves wile and guile in contrived situations that lead to changes of circumstances in accordance with one's will, referred to as lesser magic. But this is where, because when LaVeyan talks about magic, he's like, just down here a little further. Where is it? Oh, shit. One of the magician's greatest weapons is knowing himself, his talents, abilities.
Shit. Go ahead.
Professional. Knowing himself, his talents, abilities, physical attraction and detractions, etc., and when, where, and with whom to utilize them. So it's all about working with nature, not working against it. Playing up your strengths, knowing your weaknesses. And so like in like non-ritual magic, if you're fucking hot, you can fucking, use your looks to
the glamour.
The glamour. And he has this cool thing about that, like it's all about like commanding to look.
So apparently, like he makes witches and warlocks sound like gigolos because they're just going around like seducing everyone to get their.
Because they're so hot.
Yeah.
Well, not really. It's
no.
That's
it's because they're desperate.
Well, no, but that works for some witches and warlocks.
Exactly.
Because in the whole thing about
again playing to your strengths.
Yeah, he says learning effectively to utilize the command to look is an integral part of a witch's or warlock's training.
Correct.
To manipulate a person, you must first be able to attract and hold his attention. But you can do that by being fearsome. You can do that by being, sexually tantalizing.
Yes.
You can use it through just charming your way in a situation,
It makes says it even here. Most of the real witches were sleeping with the inquisitors.
Now, like there's certain books that are pretty popular these days. Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction, or the 48 Laws of Power. Wouldn't that be considered a form of? I guess not. That's not entirely Satanism because those are usually using their power like.
Is it practical magic?
Probably, yeah, exactly. Because they're using it to manipulate and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily sure because I haven't read those books entirely. But
you haven't read them entirely, implying that you've checked them out.
Give me a little.
Yeah, of course. I work somewhere that sells books.
Yeah, but you could read Harry Potter again, and
I've never read Harry Potter.
No, he hasn't. I was about to say, like, I don't think
I mean,
Ray is
not missing out on
one of
much.
those.
Did you read it? Did you read Harry Potter?
Yeah, through book 6. And then book 7, I just kind of lost interest in the series. So I was just like, talked to a drinking buddy, and I was just like, what the fuck happened?
I like it in the
care.
end where everybody dies. That's great. It's good
Well,
stuff.
spoiler alert. What if someone out there didn't read it?
Get fucked.
All right.
If that's your will.
And it doesn't hurt anybody else.
Yeah, you do you, buddy.
But LaVey further breaks down ritual magic into 3 categories. You have compassion / pity rituals. There's destruction rituals and sex rituals.
Oh, yeah. That's right. It's the important one.
And I'm trying to remember the...
Which must honestly decide into which category she most naturally falls.
And I'm trying to remember the breakdown because this is something I wrote down. I was like, well, I'm going to remember this. And then...
Do you want me to just... do you want me to just go through the categories? I got them right here.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
So the first category that is of sex is self-evident. If a woman is attractive or sexually appealing, she should do everything in her power to make herself as enticing as possible, thereby using sex as her most powerful tool.
And like, and it says like as possible. So like what? Just like, wear some like crotchless panties and a short skirt and then just like walk around bent at the waist.
I mean, he
Hello?
was just talking about topless nuns like a few pages ago. So
Well, that's just where he sees the direction of the church going, which again, totally fine with.
exactly, I don't know. I just mean it that in the sense of they've got
That Christianity is sexy.
Yeah, they got plenty to work with. All right, that's what I meant to say. The second category,
Christianity is sexy.
Yes, it is, especially those. You know what? Never mind. All right, look. Yes.
Next.
The second category is sentiment. Usually older women fit into this category. This would include the cookie lady type witch
MILFs?
who might live
That's still sex.
Oh, right.
or the much vaunted rare and elusive gilf. Anyways, yes, the cooking lady type witch, who might live in a little cottage and be thought of by people as being a bit eccentric. Children are usually enchanted by the fantasy that this type of witch can provide for them, and young adults seek her out for her sage-like advice. Through their innocence, the children can recognize her magical power by conforming to an image of the sweet old lady next door. She can employ the art of misdirection to accomplish her goals.
Get in the oven.
It's time for dinner. The third category is the wonder theme. This category would apply to the woman who is strange or awesome in her appearance. By making her strange appearance work for her, she can manipulate people simply because they are fearful of the consequences should they not do as she asks.
Is that like a
The
pixie
implication.
person?
It's the implication, all right? You will have sex with me, or something else might happen.
Is it bad? No, it's just something.
No, it's just something. Don't worry about it. We'll never know. Anyways, and then it just ends by saying that many witches or women fit into more than one of these categories. A woman could have the appearance of freshness and innocence, but at the same time be very sexy, which combines sex and sentiment. Or the femme fatale, who combines sex appeal with sinister overtones, uses sex and wonder or wonderment. I don't know, whatever. After evaluating their assets, each witch must decide into which category or combination of categories she fits, and then utilize these assets in their proper form. Crushing puss.
So within the realm of ritual and magic, I would like us to spend a little bit of time on destruction rituals, because the whole thing, people worry about magic, like, oh no, voodoo dolls or whatever,
Right.
they're actually gonna like kill somebody or whatever. And that's actually not the point of a destruction ritual. Is to symbolically destroy that person.
Right.
And if it happens to actually result in their fucking death,
Yeah, or their actual destruction.
yeah, their actual destruction.
You're on your own.
You shouldn't feel bad. You should actually rejoice that like the magical working happened and the fucking pain in the ass is gone from this planet.
Yep.
Which is fucking hilarious because LaVey's thing is just like, I would only curse someone who's like
He deserved it. I'm on 115 where it talks about that at the top. Or it first goes into enchanting or entrapping a deserving victim.
Three types of satanic ritual.
You would employ a destruction
Oh,
ritual.
right here. The third motivating force is destruction.
Right. So at the top of 115, he goes into examples of the uses of a destruction ritual, sympathetic magic. So 117 at the top, man.
No, I'm looking for something else that's in the
known as a hex, a curse, or a destroying agent. The third motivating force is that of destruction, right? Like you said, it's used for anger, annoyance, disdain, contempt, or just plain hate. And I kind of thought this next bit that they talk about was interesting because it's something that I always sort of wonder about how different religions, I guess, interact with each other, or how, like, I guess different theologies can sort of logic out their own fucking belief. Let's see here. Where was it? The greatest of all fallacies, one of the greatest of all fallacies about the practice of ritual magic is the notion that one must believe in the powers of magic before one can be harmed or destroyed by them, which it's apparently that's not true. It's all about the intention of whomever, starts the spell or the ritual, more than it does about what the I guess the victim perceives. They could theoretically, have no idea about what the fuck is going on and still be afflicted by the curse or the hex.
as a whole, like, I don't believe in gravity. I'm going to go try to fly. And then you still get affected by gravity.
You hope you don't face plant into the floor dick first.
Unless that is your will.
You know what? In which case, then, okay, then.
Destruction.
There's no argument to be had. Let's see. Right. So they talk about the differences between the uncivilized man and the enlightened man. The enlightened man doesn't put stock in superstition. They just relegate, what he writes here, they relegate their instinctive fear of curses to their unconscious, thereby nourishing it, whilst the person that believes in that stuff is basically like covering their ass by going out and having a spell cast to protect them or whatever. And they don't have to worry about it. They don't think about it. It's not an unconscious like effect on them. Therefore, it is essentially like the problem is solved, as opposed to the other person who apparently like nurtures this I don't know what the hell to call it. They nurture these this issue, within their subconscious, and still get fucked, apparently. So it's really strange. I think it's amusing more than it makes any sense, I guess, to me. Because I don't know anything about this stuff, and like they're literally talking about magic. Like, how is this supposed to affect you? How is this supposed to like come about? It just says that
this is where we show our ignorance truly with magic.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Success.
After all of that crap, there's at the end of this particular section, I just think it's funny how he words some of this shit. But a word of warning to those who had practiced these arts.
Yeah.
Concerning sex or lust. Take full advantage of spells and charms at work. If you be a man, plunge your erect member into her with lascivious delight. Yeah. If you be a woman, open wide your loins in lewd anticipation. Concerning compassion, be resolved that you'll have no regrets at the expense of the help that you have given others. Should their newfound blessings place an obstacle in your path, be grateful for things that come through the use of magic. Concerning destruction, be certain you do not care if the intended victim lives or dies before you throw your curse, and having caused their destruction, revel rather than feel remorse. Heed well these rules, or in each case you will see a reversal of your desires, which will harm rather than help you. And I was like, oh no.
So yeah, they have a few of those like examples of what I assume would be, I don't know what to call it, like karmic backfire or whatever. Where like,
well, yeah, and it goes back to
the nature of what you're trying to bring about needs to be like of a certain level or whatever, or offset by a certain thing,
or like right hand paths based witchcraft, where it's like that was the rule of three or whatever. You know, if you fuck with something, then or fuck up something, then it'll come back on you threefold or whatever.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, no, trying to remember because I was trying to read Drawing Down the Moon before I read this.
Well, I was trying to reference the craft in my head.
Sure.
Hey, either or, whichever.
That works. All your hair falls out, or you get fuck face or whatever, or.
But if you want to fuck with some magical performance, there are some ingredients to satanic magic performances. And LaVeyan breaks it down to desire, so like motivation, temptation, or emotional persuasion to do it. Timing. Timing is crucial to magical workings, particularly like when it comes to like sex magic. So he has this section where he's talking about like, oh yeah, keep track of like when she's on her rag, and because that's when they're more inclined to fuck, you know. And with dudes, it's like open season because dudes are always wanting to get their rocks off. So like, but also if you know your intended victim or whatever person you want to do a magical working on when they're sleeping,
is it right to call them a victim necessarily? Like,
I think in a death curse or a destruction ritual, because I think that plays into it too. But he mostly references like sex within these things. Right. But I was trying to think of applying it to like a destruction ritual, you know. Then imagery, which is basically the power of imagination. So
if you can see it, you can do it.
Yeah.
That's yeah. That these ingredients here, like I mean, it seems like basic. Like a lot of these things have been integrated in like most recent like personal growth, self-help books and stuff like that. Yeah. Like if you want to like The Secret or something like that, where you have like positive imagery and stuff like that.
Right.
You kind of have to like speak into existence, all that kind of stuff. That's also like how they say in Christianity too. Like you have to speak your blessing or healing into existence.
Live in a, what is it? Walk and talk in prayer or whatever that Paul talked about. You know, from Peter, Paul, and Mary, fun little band. But LaVeyan also talks about direction being in there. So so you need to like extend all of your energy into the ritual itself rather than like hem and haw whether it's going to work or not before or after. Because you might as well get down on your knees and fucking pray it's going to happen. Because
just believe.
Yeah,
you got to just believe.
But within the context of the ritual.
Right.
Because, you know, if you waste time thinking about the magical problem you're trying to solve beforehand, then you're just wasting like energy that could be put into the ritual itself to actually help it work.
Right.
And then the balance factor, which I've said a little bit before, but it's about like, you know, working with nature versus against it. You know, don't try to, you know, do crazy shit, you know, make it reasonable.
Right.
Yeah.
And with that, it's kind of like a lot of our ignorance on ritual. Apart from some of the I guess kind of the pageantry of it, you know.
That's mostly what it seems to be comprised of. Like a lot of the ritual is is
some dork with a sword is pointing and is waving it around and
he's
invoking
pointing it
things.
to the northwest direction, and
Oh.
some naked chick is a human altar, while what else?
It's like I love the invocation of Satan. Yeah. In nomine Dei nostri, Satanis Luciferi excelsi. In the name of Satan, the ruler of the earth, the king of the world, I command the forces of darkness to bestow their infernal power upon me. Open wide the gates of hell and come forth from the abyss to greet me as your brother, sister, and friend. It's like sisters in parentheses, but whatever. Grant me the indulgence of which I speak. I have taken thy name as a part of myself. I live as the beast of the field, rejoicing in the fleshly life. I favor the just and curse the rotten. By all the gods of the pit, I command all that these things of which I speak shall come to pass. Come forth and answer to your names by manifesting my destinies. Oh, hear the names. And we get back to the infernal names. You like Abaddon, Ahriman.
It's fun to cosplay it.
Asmodeus. Yeah, dude. Like I'm seeing a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons nerds, man. It's like
Yeah, I mean, Demogorgon's in there, fucking all sorts of silly shit. I laughed enough at Dracula. That was funny enough for me.
Then he gets into like the various like
Diabolus.
invocations for like sex or compassion or death rituals or destruction rituals. And I fucking love the invocation for the conjuration of lust from the female end.
Oh, yeah.
My loins are aflame. The dropping of the nectar from my eager cleft shall act as pollen to the slumbering brain. And the mind that feels not lust shall on a sudden reel with crazed impulse. And when my mighty surge is spent, new wandering shall begin. And that flesh which I desire shall come to me. In the name of the great harlot of Babylon and of Lilith and of Hecate. May my lust be fulfilled. Shem HaMephorash. Hail Satan. It's just like, fuck, man.
Pretty fucking funny. The male one's pretty funny too. My rod is a thrust. The penetrating force of my venom shall shatter the sanctity of that mind which is barren of lust. And as the seed falleth, so shall its vapors be spread within that reeling brain, benumbing it to helplessness, according to my will. In the name of the great god Pan, may my secret thoughts be marshaled into the movements of the flesh of that which I desire. Shem HaMephorash.
Hail Satan.
I'll make sure to put some reverb on all y'all's voices there.
It's pretty funny stuff.
And for you guys that want a quick read in an afternoon, because even you can include the Enochian keys, because you're skipping 3 pages to get to the English, or every other page really, because he'll have like a little description of what it's
of the ceremony
about.
Which really
Enochian
these are prayers, that they use.
But these are like republished prayers, right? I mean, these
yes,
are
because
prayers
this is all shit from
before.
John D. But evidently these are, and LaVeyan, I think, specifically says that he puts a satanic bent on these Enochian keys. Should I read the original Enochian? Or But this is some cool imagery though, like the ninth key.
To get the original Enochian language, you need to contribute to our Patreon for that.
A mighty guard of fire with 2-edged swords, flaming, which contained the vials of delusions, whose wings were of wormwood and the marrow of salt, have set their feet in the west and are measured with their ministers. These gather up the moss of the earth, as the rich man doth his treasure. Cursed are they whose iniquities they are. In their eyes are millstones greater than the earth, and from their mouths run seas of blood. Their brains are covered with diamonds, and upon their heads are marble stones. Happy is he on whom they frown not. For why? The Lord of righteousness rejoices with them. Come away and leave your vials, for the time is such as requireth comfort. And so it's a bunch of fucking babbling bullshit.
It's poetry.
And I think if I recall some of the shit I was reading on John D. in regards to the coming up with the Enochian keys, it was very much like a Joseph Smith and like situation where it's like
only like he could interpret them or someone else could interpret them.
Yeah, some bullshit like that. Yeah. And so it's like him and this other guy that like developed this stuff. But it's And then LaVey's like, well, let me put Satan into this.
Every one of them just says Hail Satan on the end of them. But if you want to take a look at those Enochian keys, again, they're pretty quick read. You can like read them on the toilet if you like.
Might not make a lot of sense.
Summon any sort of like, I don't know exactly the result of some of these Enochian keys, but
You're going to summon a shit demon?
you might. You never know.
Beware.
Taking a shit is pleasurable, so it could be somewhat orgasmic.
Yeah, there
As
you
the
go.
turd falls out of your butt, you might summon something.
Yep.
Unless it's the other way around. I'm sure it's like parting is such sweet sorrow.
All right, so again, Satanism or the term Satanism isn't a broad term for anything involving the word Satan in it. The most popular ones as of late, as far as I'm aware, is the Satanic Temple and the Church of Satan.
Yep.
Two very different organizations. So
Satanic Temple is very, very active on social media.
yeah, they're activists
Like,
basically, you
big
know,
time.
and using the form of religion to, I guess, promote their activism.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and it's to my understanding, a lot of it is about the separation of church and state,
Right.
Yes,
just in general,
and like reproductive rights,
Yeah.
all those kinds
Right.
of things. So, like for instance, that new Texas law that
The heartbeat law or whatever.
right, they're kind of advocating that it goes against our religious rights if you're
And so, therefore, we're
to,
suing
to
to make it unconstitutional.
yes.
Yes.
make
They're
law
suing
unconstitutional.
to stop that.
So, as a quick reference, there's a quick chart that they actually made themselves, and their founding dates, like we said, 1966 was the Church of Satan. 2013 was the Satanic Temple. Is it officially recognized as a tax-exempt church by the IRS? Satanic Temple, that is a yes. Church of Satan, that is a no.
And we can just hit on some of these,
Yeah.
like the belief in magic. Church of Satan, yes.
Yeah.
Satanic Temple, no.
Right. And one important thing is the foundational text. There is a list of books that the Satanic Temple recommends that you read if you want to get a head start in their version of Satanism.
And that's a bunch of shit.
Yeah, basically it's books that go against authority and stuff like that. And of course we have the Satanic Bible for the Church of Satan, which is from Anton Lavey.
Good old counterculture.
And again,
Well, LaVey hated hippies.
yeah, the Satanic Temple is more
But it
activists. We have the fights for secularism, reproductive rights. It has a physical headquarters. Again, I think that is in Salem, Massachusetts, for the Satanic Temple.
It is.
The Church of Satan no longer has that house. It's been torn down, so I'm not exactly sure where they are particularly located. The Satanic Temple has local chapters. I think the closest one in Texas is in San Antonio. And the Satanic Temple is actively growing. The Church of Satan is kind of in its same place.
Yeah, because there's really no formal leadership apart from like Gilmore
Right.
and a couple other goons that just post shit on their website.
And you won't see the Church of Satan at this point now too often. Well, I mean, you see more of the Satanic Temple like in the news talking about their activism and stuff like that. The Church of Satan, you don't see too much, at least nowadays. At least I don't think. I haven't seen too many of what's the guy's name? Grimes? Or no, I'm sorry, Grimes.
Gilmore.
Gilmore, sorry. I haven't seen that guy.
I haven't seen him like
at
do
all.
anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, you can do read most of his writings on the website. The membership fee, again, the general membership for the Satanic Temple is free. If you want a card, you want a certificate, that is $25. The Church of Satan application is probably a bit more strict. You have to go through a little bit of more of a process than just paying a fee. You have to pay the $250 to join, but I think they vet a lot of the people coming through.
I think so, yeah. And it takes forever to process from what Satanic Temple has said. But
yeah. And it says here authoritarian. Satanic Temple says they are not authoritarian. Church of Satan is. Is that from like the libertarian type of?
I think so. But I think it's also kind of like the, fuck the weak, like
Right. Yeah, I guess so. You're not willing to be charitable or help.
yeah,
Those less fortunate,
unless it really benefits you or
Yeah.
whatever. And actually, I forgot where because I made a little bookmark somewhere in this tome about basically LaVeyan saying, basically suggesting that like altruism does not exist. And wish I had this little piece of info for a seminar I took in grad school, because like one of the big questions was like, does altruism even exist, or are all like actors like self-interested? And LaVeyan talks about like, hey, like, love yourself, love a tight circle, but you can't love everybody.
Yeah.
But if you do something nice for a loved one or whatever, then like the give and take there is that you receive like joy from doing so.
There's one thing I do want to touch on, and that is there are 9 there are 9 satanic sins.
Oh yeah.
And I'll just go through them real quick. I won't like go into the entire thing. There's an article. We'll put the link in the description of the episode. The first one is stupidity. Don't be stupid. Right. That is
Don't be stupid.
That is the cardinal sin of Satanism. Pretentiousness. Solepism. Was it solepism?
Solepism.
Solepism.
I believe that's how it's pronounced.
Solepism, protecting your reactions, responses, and sensibilities onto someone who is probably far less attuned than you are. Self-deceit, herd conformity, lack of perspective, forgetfulness of path orthodoxies.
So is the Church of Satan anti-vax?
Probably. Counterproductive pride and lack of aesthetics.
Lack of aesthetics
Yeah.
is a sin.
Show your best, buddy. Like, and again, we have some links that we'll post in the description if you want to read more about Satanism or the Church of Satan themselves. All right, we want to give our final thoughts on the Satanic Bible.
I mean, not to sound like I usually do, but I was kind of underwhelmed. I was kind of expecting more from this. I thought it was going to be more scandalous, and I wanted to see some more sex magic and blood orgies, and I was disappointed.
So basically, you're going into it as
He wants Satanic Panic to be right.
Yeah.
I think it's what he's.
I was like, this
like,
this is all common sense based bullshit.
blood
I can't
orgies,
stand
shitting
this.
on the Bible, like all that kind of shit.
I was only like
very much a Michelle Remembers kind of pamphlet here.
I was only kind of somewhat amused, or
were you hoping to be scared? Like at the end of this, like,
yeah, I was supposed to
long.
change my life, Ray. I thought Satan was gonna pop up from behind the fucking couch or some shit.
fucking pop you in your ass.
Yeah, tweeze my nuts. I don't know, whatever. Just to tell
Satan, I wasn't ready for this
just
sex
to tell
orgy.
me he's there. Yeah, hey, it's non-consensual. You can't do that.
I know the rules.
No, like I'm not surprised. In the sense that like I tend to think everything is most things are overrated, but I mean like again like with this like we were all reading this expecting that obviously there were going to be some aspects of this that had been completely overblown by fucking popular culture or just by like
I mean,
misunderstood bullshit.
If you have like if you looked at any sort of interview with Anton Lavey, like he doesn't seem as like dangerous as
no.
I mean,
like,
you probably look more dangerous on like Phil Donahue with fucking like sitting next to these like fucking goth metal kids.
Yeah.
I'd be like scared of those fuckers. Not fucking Anton Lavey, you know.
I
I
wear
wanna
a
get-
cape.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna be afraid of that fucking like cosplayer. No,
he has
I'm
a
gonna
cane,
be
he has a
afraid
cape,
of
he has a couple rings on. Like
I'm gonna be afraid of the metalheads with the fucking switchblades. I'm good.
yeah. Again,
You know.
as Anton Lavey said by his own admission that the members were a bunch of like weirdos and like fanatics and shit. Like the believers are usually the ones that take it too far, and
Right.
and they've mentioned like
And because of
a lot of rock and metal has been influenced by
yeah.
that, but they are taking a certain different aspect of this. They're playing on the imagery, they're playing on all the the things that scare people from
Well,
just the term Satan, you know?
yeah, I mean, they take it a little more seriously. These guys, I'd say, would probably be a bit more parody with their take on religion.
But I mean, some of those rock
they've
musicians
subverted
and
it.
metalheads are doing it like ironically, you know, like
Yeah, exactly. That's
they
what
know
I mean.
they're playing a
Like,
joke, and
that's what I mean in that. Well, they are similar, right? But again, like in the same sense that those people that take it too far, because of sensationalism, they're the ones that fuck it up for everyone else because they end up in the news or whatever the fuck, and then like that's when you get fucking people panicking or like jumping to the wrong conclusions. And so again, like there really isn't anything like any particularly fucking salacious.
you weren't shocked. You weren't.
No.
You didn't come out of it with more fear than you had.
No,
before.
like I told you in the beginning, like I didn't really.
You came out with the validation that masturbation is where it's
exactly.
at. And I have to constantly be doing it.
Tis a sacrosanct
for my own personal health.
Undertaking.
No. You can't be masturbating out in public and shouldn't be like,
what? No.
I'm not hurting anyone.
This is my will.
Well,
I ain't hurting nobody.
Does it need to be like outside the pants?
That's on you, buddy. Like, I don't know.
So, anyways, like I said before at the beginning, I didn't really read this and learn anything new. I just, was presented with a couple of interesting ideas and some basic, like as dumbed down a kind of methodology as I guess you can get for religion that I could see. Like again, like to me, this is just and I think you're right before when you said that because the Satanic Bible hasn't been around for that long, obviously compared to the thousands of fucking years of Christianity, they're not going to be as well organized, as intricate, or whatever as you would expect the standard, Christianity or Catholic belief system to be. But
yeah, I mean, there's also been the Christianity has been heavily edited.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing. Like
I don't know how much. I don't know who edited this. Was it him or like someone he paid someone to do it? But I said
this had no edits.
Over a long weekend.
I didn't think this had any edits. But like, yeah, the Bible has
Jack Kerouac it, man.
Got lots of different fucking versions of it, and they were all intentionally edited to like they mentioned here, figure out ways to fucking control the populace, their parishioners or whatever.
What about you, Daniel?
I did learn some stuff. Actually, getting into this, I was like kind of thrown off a little bit. Didn't really understand why they use the term Satan, at all. But got to learn, just kind of like the roots of this religion, which was pretty cool. And I was a little bit surprised to see him, casting shade at not just Christianity, but also like Eastern mystic traditions, other type of, fucking left-hand pathers.
Yeah.
And it was a fun read. I liked it. I think I went through this like 3 times, something like that. Just because I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. But that's part of my will.
Yeah. It is your right to do that.
Yes. No, it's my will.
It's your will. Will, right? Whatever you want to call it.
But one thing that I will critique this text on is that LaVeyan talks about early on, he's like, oh, but I will demonstrate the, importance of dogma and ritual into what it is to be human.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
you mean?
And I don't think that he ever got there. Why? Because he said he's going to say why dogma ritual was important, but I don't feel he ever got there. And that was one thing I felt was very undeveloped in this, because you get into all the ritual and stuff, but you're not telling us why it's fucking important.
Mm-hmm.
Like why, because he didn't make a case like he had in his little straw man arc discussions about well, why not just call it humanism? And he's like, well, because humanism is bereft of dogma and ritual, and that's essential to being a people or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'll show you why. And he never gets there.
Okay.
Like he just jumps from all his like little self-empowerment stuff to the goofy ritual stuff.
Mm.
Um,
There's just no why that was answered for majority of that.
yeah, I just
To me, like Anton Lavey, I think I've said this before. We even started reading this. I saw him as a showman. You know, if he was in the carnival as he's so claims to be, or as Gilmore writes that he was, then you know it's just like it's more just him just playing on an old trope of Satan and stuff like that, just trying to make it more interesting than it actually was. Because I mean, if you were just going to go to the first portion of this book without the magic, I mean, you could just see it again like a self-help book.
yeah.
No different than what most folks are doing nowadays. Again, we've mentioned casually before with Jordan Peterson or like David Goggins or Jocko Willink. Like all these are like either like a self-empowerment. You need to kind of pull yourself up and do what you need to do to make your life happy, you know?
But I mean, like, but it's all about that, like, breaking the chains of, basically just societal restrictions that make no sense.
Yeah.
And, doing you, boo-boo.
Yeah.
Um,
Treat yourself.
yeah.
Doing you. Like,
but also in the context of the times, like how much, self-help bullshit out there.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't based in religious traditions that still just have you suppress your ego.
Right. I'm just saying that like a lot of the themes that he was speaking on seem just like common now.
Well, yeah, but in the context of the time,
right.
Like, would it have been enough to just stick with the first chunk of this book and then go out into the wild? Cool.
Yeah, and without all the magic, of course.
And then because then he also had the follow up to this where he gets into like the rituals and the magic-y stuff even further.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of the fucking book, but
I think the Satanic Passages, or I don't remember. I know there are other portions of this.
I think that one came out in like 1972 or some bullshit. Like it came out a few years after this book.
Followed by a Satanic Witch.
There you go.
That was the next one that he did. Let me see here. But yeah, I feel like I didn't really learn too much. I didn't learn much of anything new from this book. I was just kind of fascinated to see the takes that he has on just basically general human behavior and stuff like that, and how to approach life in general. A lot of it, like you said, was just the inverse of a lot of Christian beliefs and the golden rule, so to speak. But I guess one of the main reasons of doing this book is to kind of like we've talked about before, is demystifying a lot of the
misconceptions
about this book,
yeah.
Anton Lavey, the Satanism, all that kind of stuff. Because again, if anyone hears about the Satanism in general, it's usually from the Satanic Temple, and they're thinking activism and stuff like that. There is still like a shroud of mystery around him. I mean, just by the picture alone, like people see that and they're just like, oh shit.
Spooky.
Yeah, black book, pentagram on the front. Who is this Anton Szandor Lavey, And he just seemed like a guy who had his own way of doing things, and he decided to write it down on paper. So there's no satanic. It's funny that this came out just before a lot of the Satanic Panic just started to like get some steam, and even though that this was available, it didn't seem like people really use this to kind of break the misconceptions. Like they just took the idea or like the imagery and just roll on with fucking Rosemary's Baby, and of course he's playing into the whole.
Yeah.
He was actually in the movie playing Satan, basically raping the character of Rosemary to create the Antichrist, and there's like a cult surrounding that. So I mean, he kind of played into that as well. I would say he did kind of create a lot of the weirdos and fanatics that he so shunned later in life. So, or helped create some of that, I'm not saying he was like directly responsible, but like I don't, since we don't have too many like interviews of him like on like YouTube or anything like that, like people are just going to take what they think they know and run with their own misconceptions. So I don't know. The book was fun to read. I suggest reading it if you want to. Don't be afraid of it. There's no demons going to pop out of the book. If you were to like even read some of these Enochian keys or even some of these little magic, see, for instance, the invocation employed towards the conjuration of lust, they're just words, unless you believe it, maybe.
Yeah,
Something
whatever.
might happen. But if you're just reading it out loud because for the hell of it, in fact, we read some here,
Yep.
and nothing's going to happen.
Don't be a pussy.
Well, it's because we have to protect the pentagram on the table.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Duh,
Completely
sorry.
Yeah,
forgot.
we took precautions.
Yeah. And if the lighting of the video serves correctly, there'll be a pentagram right behind us too. So I guess that'll be it. I mean, if you want to stick around for the next Valley Strange later on this month in October, it'll be primarily video, and you'll be seeing a Ouija board kind of
Seance thing.
seance thing. I guess I don't really know.
Yeah. We're gonna do something.
If we're doing it incorrectly, we're really fucking ourselves over if it's real.
Yeah. Right.
So
Oh well.
just make sure we say goodbye at the end of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you
we
for
should
your
be good.
time.
We should be good. You're
Oh, what a lovely tea party.
you're talking with people that don't have any experience really in any of this stuff, and
Couldn't care less.
we kind of possess him if that's the case.
right here, this guy.
I will say if anything does happen whenever we do our Ouija board session,
You're gonna push me towards it.
yes, but we'll be TikToking that too. So gotta get those hits.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be it
Want
for
that
us.
content.
Volume 5 of Books of the Strange, the Satanic Bible.
We're
See you
done.
next time.
We're done.
That's it.
Tell us if you got any questions or comments, or if you hate us. If you hate Ray and love me, please. I'd like to.
Little midgets come into my house. It's ridiculous. Guy who had some kind of a rectal probe. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.